The Montreal Alouettes have their star quarterback returning to game action tonight, which is part of a doubleheader on TSN. Davis Alexander is back after missing 8 straight games as he has dealt with a hamstring injury. And get this, Alexander's still unbeaten as a starter through 8 games, which is a CFL record first set by Danny McManus. Tonight, he'll look to keep that clean sheet against the Stampeders. And with the latest, here is Kate Burness and our CFL panel.
Alongside Enoch Mwamba, Davis Sanchez, Milt Siegel, and yes, Sarah, the Montreal Alouettes thrilled to have their starting quarterback back. And look, when you look at the numbers, I mean, this team is just so much better with him in the lineup. I mean, they're 4-0 with him. They're 3-7 without. This is a much-needed boost for this Alouette team down the stretch.
They absolutely need him. This is a team that clearly has struggled without him, and they absolutely need him. He's played so well every time he started for this team. Obviously, you saw the struggle that they've had. Every other quarterback was not the solution, not the answer for this team. He needs to get back. The positive thing is when you saw him on the sideline throughout the course, he was engaged. He was engaged with the quarterbacks. He was engaged with the receivers. We need to see that chemistry on the field today for them to be successful. And with the season winding down right now, there is no time for rust for Davis Alexander. But he has shown that he's still perfect and undefeated as a starter. So that's all you can expect from him. So it'll be good to see him.
I mean, I would argue, too, Week 17 is all about the return of these starting QBs, and it's a wonderful thing in the CFL at this point in time. And when the Toronto Argonauts are looking at their schedule and their very, very slim playoff hopes, I mean, it's slim, but it's still there. You want to give them some hope, and the only way they would have hope is by having Nick Arbuckle back into the lineup. He was dealing with that calf injury, but clearly ready to go. But now you get the tough task of the BC Lions tonight.
Yeah, and they'll need him to have a game like he had the last time they played the BC Lions, where he threw for over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, outdueled Nathan Rourke. You have to do that again. And as you mentioned, Kate, they're hanging on by a thread for their playoff hopes. Ryan Dinwiddie, their head coach, spoke of it. Basically, they have to win all 4 of their games, and they're still not guaranteed a spot. But having Nick Arbuckle gives them hope, gives them opportunity. They know they have a chance, and they'll have to have a spectacular game. How healthy is that calf? Well, we'll find out. But regardless, he needs to go in there and make some plays. They have the tools to do it. They dug themselves in the hole, and they're going to try to see if they can get themselves out of it, win these last 4 games, and they'll see what happens. But unfortunately, they don't control their own destiny.
And playing for Toronto and then playing across the country, BC, something you didn't have to deal with really, but we both had to deal with that. That's a tough one. And then to add on to it, BC scored 30 points or more 7 straight games. I mean, how many points can Nick Arbuckle put up tonight? I mean, if he's healthy, can he put up a 40-burger? Because to beat that guy right there, they're going to need to score 40. And that's just the reality of this game. And I think, but what you've seen from Nick and this offense, when rolling, they can actually do it. So, yes, they're slim. Their chances are slim, but they'll see what they bring tonight. It'll all be on that offense. Nathan Rourke and what he's been doing over the last 2 months, month and a half, is unbelievable. His command of this offense, what he's got going, his weapons, he's using his legs, which, I mean, we didn't really see a lot before. He's always had the ability to do it. I often wondered why he didn't run more. Yeah. But like we've talked about, he's playing football at the highest level we've seen. He's definitely jumped into that MOP conversation, if not leading that conversation. Yeah. So, this will be a good one tonight, but a tough task for Toronto anytime, and especially at this point of the season.
Rourke was just such a beast against Calgary, too. The 3 rushing TDs, 2 through the air. By the way, 65 yards away from 4,000. That'll be the first time a Canadian QB ever hits the 4K mark.
Ooh, all right. Okay, so Calgary coming off a pair of disappointing losses that have derailed their chance at catching the Riders for first in the West. And Montreal, they can clinch home field in the East semifinal with a win tonight. Action gets underway at 7 Eastern. Following that, Lions hosting the Argos. If the playoffs started today, BC would cross over and visit Montreal in the Eastern semifinal. Kickoff for this one is at 10 Eastern.
Week 17 kicks off from Montreal, where the Alouettes welcome the Stampeders to town. And a little later on, we head to BC, where the Lions and the Argonauts face off. There's also Truth and Reconciliation weekend in the CFL. The teams all showing their support, donning the orange. Kick back, relax. It's Friday Night Football.
Anytime's great for football, but I know when it feels just right.
I'm gonna kick back, relax.
Watching football on a Friday night.
It's Friday!
And we're gonna be hard to tame.
It's Friday!
Coast to coast.
The CFL is Canada's game. off action. Playing CFL football.
The game is up for grabs.
It's Friday night football tonight.
What a welcome sight for Alouette fans. Davis Alexander returns to the lineup after missing the past 8 games dealing with a hamstring injury. Montreal 3-7 this season without their starting QB in the lineup, and they are 4-0 with him. Although he was dealing with a back injury that pulled him from their last game, Vernon Adams Jr. good to go tonight, VA. Looking to lead his Stampeders to victory in Montreal, something that Calgary hasn't done since 2018. What a streak it has been. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Football on TSN. Kate Burness alongside Enoch Mwamba, Davis Sanchez, Milt Stiegel. We will get to their thoughts on the game in just a moment. But first, we do have to pass along our condolences to the Thompson family. Larry was one of a kind. He loved this league. Yeah. He loved his team in Edmonton more than I think a lot of us would even know. And to Deb and to the entire Thompson family, our thoughts are with you this evening, and we know that you will carry on the legacy of Larry for years and years to come. Let's begin with the game number 1, the Montreal Alouettes, and we finally get to see Davis Alexander. I don't know about you guys. I'm just hoping we don't see what we saw last time, him coming back in and then pulling that hamstring. But for Montreal right now, and where we are in a postseason coming up right in our front voyage here, I think they need him in this lineup.
They absolutely do. I think expectations are sky high for Davis Alexander. This is a team that's been struggling without him. They haven't been able to win as many games as he's led them to victory prior to his injury. So they need to win. And he's been pretty active and engaged with his teammates, his quarterbacks, as well as the receivers in his absence when he was hurt. But he needs to show that chemistry on the field tonight, and he needs to come up big for this team.
Yeah, I think they've held him out an extra couple weeks to make sure they have him for the playoff run. This is the start of it now. I think he'll be great tonight. I look forward. I think his timing is the most important thing to get back for now, and that's kind of to your point, Enoch. On the other side, I think VA needs to bounce back. Let's see if there's some hesitancy there. He struggled the last few weeks. I want to see if he can get back going.
Davis Alexander, the thing he can't do, he can't try to make up for those 8 weeks in one throw like I'm talking about. Just allow the game to come to him. Yes, he's been successful. 8 starts, 8-0. He has an opportunity to surpass Danny McManus as far as starts, the way you start your career, but he has to let the game come to you. You talk about VA. VA has struggled his last 3 games. Yep. He hadn't been to VA. He thought he was going to be this year, so he has to get it together. But this is going to be a pretty good game.
I'm looking at the Calgary defense, too. And I think without Flo, I mean, that was such a huge loss for that team. And they really need to step up in this one, too, to show that they can do it without the veteran leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a team that really went ahead with this defense, right? And they really rely on that defense and the strength of this defense. And without Flo, they've been struggling.
All right, let's get you to Montreal right now for a moment of silence for Larry Thompson.
Mesdames, Messieurs, les Alouettes de Montréal sont attristés par le décès du propriétaire des Elks d'Edmonton, M. Larry Thompson, à l'âge de 65 ans. Montreal Alouettes are saddened by the passing of Edmonton Elks owner, Mr. Larry Thompson, at age 65. À la famille de M. Thompson, à ses amis, à toute l'organisation des Elks, nous offrons nos plus sincères condoléances. To Mr. Thompson's family, friends, and the entire Elks organization, we would like to extend our most heartfelt condolences. Nous vous invitons maintenant à vous lever et observer un moment de silence à sa mémoire. We would now ask you to please rise and respect a moment of silence in his memory.
Once again, our condolences to Deb and the entire Thompson family.
Thank you, Kate. night and on a day where dark clouds have been circulating through the Montreal area. Tumultuous circumstances circumvent both the Stampeders and the Alouettes here tonight, but for differing reasons. The good news is they get to sort it out live on Friday Night Football. Hello, everyone. Marshall Ferguson alongside Dwayne Ford. Kenzie Lalonde at Field Level 4 is here throughout the evening. It's DA, it's VA. We weren't sure if either of them were going to be in the lineup, but we got a quarterback showdown here tonight.
Yeah, we absolutely do, and one somewhat long awaited, I think, the return certainly of Davis Alexander, undefeated as a starter thus far in his Canadian Football League career. The hamstring is finally better. He sounds ready to roll this week against the Calgary Stampeders. Vernon Adams, as you heard in the pregame, also having left last game due to injury, back injury in the loss last week for the Calgary Stampeders, but VA is at the helm tonight and looking to get this team back in the win column.
There's Dave Dickinson after a disappointing performance last week at home against the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke shredding them for about 12.5 yards per offensive play. He needs his defense to get back on track. They've been exceptional throughout the season. And Jason Moss, I remember when we were here back in week number 14, Dwayne, and he saw the same thing that we saw, which was Davis Alexander absolutely ripping the football pregame. Did that game here, was going home, read an article that said, you know what, tonight was a difficult night for our offense, but I saw something pregame that gives us hope. Well, the hope has returned, and it also gets the football immediately because the Calgary Stampeders ended up winning the toss and deferring. Montreal wants to get Davis Alexander the football immediately. René Paredes has it on the tee, hammers it down the line, and it will be received at the 15-yard line. Tyson Philpott returns across the 30 out to the 40-yard line. And in his valiant return after the torn hamstring, he said it was going to take a long time to get back. He knew it immediately after the injury. Well, here he is.
Yeah, much awaited return. Obviously some struggles for the Montreal Alouettes in the absence of their starting quarterback. 4-0 with Davis Alexander, 3-7 in his absence, but a couple of those wins coming under McLeod Bethel Thompson, getting the team back in the win column in its last couple of games. So this is as healthy a Montreal Alouettes team as we have seen all season, Mark.
Scott begins in the backfield. This one punched up in the air immediately. And the starting offense around Davis Alexander, who has this one knocked down by Clarence Hicks, looks like this.
Yeah, and we'll get a good look at the 5th overall pick in the 2025 CFL draft. Tiger Shanks, Vancouver-born, played his college football at Nevada, Las Vegas. And, of course, the very reliable Tyler Snead, as you alluded to earlier, Marshall. It has not mattered who's been at quarterback. Tyler Snead has been a go-to target for the Alouettes.
Hard to disagree with that when you watch the way that he plays, the amount of motion they put him in as well as they do here early on as Alexander looks to throw down the field, pumps twice, throws across his body on a rope and right on the money across the 55. It is Snead on cue and wants some love from the fans on his first completion back in the lineup.
Yeah, you'll see Tyler Snead just disappeared out of the picture to the left. He's going to work back right. And Alexander almost floating like a hummingbird, backpedaling, knowing that he could buy, if he could buy some time, Tyler Snead would get himself into an open window.
Alexander with the bravado we've seen from him in his undefeated start here in the Canadian Football League. Quick release this time, completes it behind the line of scrimmage. Once again, it goes to Snead, and the Stampeders starting defense with Damon Webb making the tackle looks like this.
Yeah, and the Stampeders and their struggles will lean on veteran guys a little bit. Miles Brown finds himself as the most experienced member of that defensive line. Of course, lean on Mr. All CFL, Adam Bighill, at the middle linebacker spot. Looking to round into form here as he continues his comeback. And, of course, Damon Webb has been terrific in terms of leading that secondary all season.
Webb with 2 interceptions on the season, 55 tackles as well. That's second on the team behind only Jacob Roberts. As Davis Alexander, the start of his career, it has been something to behold, and we've been around for much of it and seen it live in person, and it's not one of those fraudulent records where he cheated his way through this one, he snuck his way through that. He's earned a lot of these.
Yeah, Davis Alexander has been very good. Obviously, last season, he proved himself ready to become a starter in the Canadian Football League. Thus, Cody Fajardo was on the move to Edmonton in the offseason. Alexander validated that in the first month of this Canadian Football League season.
Out 8 games so far this season. And they're happy to have him back as he rolls to his right, pumps, and now he's one-on-one trying to get to the edge. And shuts it down with a first down. Damon Webb right there in his face, but doesn't get a hand on him as they lose contain once again on Alexander.
This was one of those moments, considering how he initially injured his leg, where you're kind of watching Davis Alexander turn on the jets, heading for the sideline, seeing how much he's going to test that out.
Is that him being smart, or is that him, trying to feel it out, right?
Yeah, picking his spots, I think, a little bit.
Started this season, we saw him run down that same right sideline and blow somebody up, so a little bit of a different attack here early on in the game in his return. And Stevie's got the third, gets stacked up and thrown down on first down. But Davis Alexander and his injuries throughout this season, obviously this is not what they wanted through the start of the campaign, is immediately in that game against Edmonton, you could tell he was just off, rolling out. And then in the game winner against the Toronto Argonauts, who Montreal has their success against last week, you knew this one was not going to be short-term either.
Yeah, anxious to get back. Maybe made his return a little bit too soon the first time around, but the Alouettes playing things safe with their starting quarterback this time around.
2nd and 11 for number 10. He looks over the top into the end zone. Nobody home as he was firing deep, and the first possession for Alexander will end with a field goal attempt.
And you get a look here. He's looking for Sneed again, coming out of the slot. Just looked like cross signals there as Sneed's read took him to the inside. Alexander's read took him deep. And completion will bring on Jose Maltos Diaz.
This kick will come from 39 yards away. Maltos Diaz, plenty of leg as we've seen all season, but this one goes wide. And Eric Brooks, the top-rated returner according to Pro Football Focus last week, dances around in the end zone, and Isaac Adiemi Berglund will be kind enough to escort him out of the back of the end zone as Maltos Diaz with the rare miss. Vernon Adams Jr. smacked around himself last week. Some question as to whether or not he would be in the lineup here on the road, but VA is ready to rock and try to atone for his interceptions in Week 16. Vernon Adams Jr. for the Calgary Stampeders. Earlier this season against Montreal, got absolutely smashed, wedged in between the two best linebackers on this roster, arguably, in Darnell Sankey and Tyrese Beverette. And last week, took a smack of his own. Man, it reminds you just how physical a game it is, as Dedrick Mills, his running back, had to calm him down, stand him up, but he is here in the lineup tonight. 8-4 on the season, as you see, and hasn't been throwing the football a ton, Dwayne, but when he's had his opportunities, he's been effective.
Yeah, I mean, it has been typical Vernon Adams. Trying to make those big plays, push the ball deep. It's not necessarily the high percentage game, but high risk, high reward as we take a look at this Stamps offense. Christian Akanu, a Quebec native, makes the start here at right guard. And you mentioned Dedrick Mills a minute ago. I mean, this is really the straw that stirs the drink for Calgary offensively. Unable to get a lot going in the run game last week, but Mills emerged as their leading receiver, leading target in that game with 8 catches.
There's the Stampeders. Middle of the pack second down conversion, such a huge part of being able to win football games in the CFL as VA goes to his right, comes back over the middle, checks it down and underneath, and Mills' safety blanket is there. Looks like a 2-and-out quickly here for the Montreal defense. Fired up playing at home tonight as Mills has a quick conversation on his way off the field.
And here you see Mills from the backfield, check release, open space in the middle. With that internal clock ticking, Vernon Adams opts to check it down.
Tyson Philpott stands back by himself. You wonder with James Fletcher Jr. out, whether they'd implement any kind of rotation at returner tonight for the Alouettes. Their special teams unit led by Byron Archambault is very close to getting home on the kick, but it bounces down to Philpott. It is on 18-yard line and steps out of bounds at the 34 as Davis Alexander, second touch of the rock when we return. As last got a start on July 17th, went over 300 yards passing in a comeback win over the Toronto Argonauts. Davis Alexander thankful to be back in the lineup here for the Montreal Alouettes. He's been waiting for it for a while, and it turns out so were his teammates. Kenzie Lalonde has more.
Yes, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Davis Alexander has a signature warm-up look. It's a white tank top, so as a welcome back gift, his teammates decided to also wear a white tank top. Now, it sounds like Davis knew some of the guys were going to wear a shirt. I don't think he expected about a dozen players to be matching him. Davis saying this week he's thrilled to be back, felt he grew as a leader off the field. After the Alouettes lost to the Tiger Cats, their 5 straight loss, Davis Alexander went into the locker room, gave a passionate, long speech, just reminding them about their identity.
Love it, Kenzie. Is this one just off the hands, incomplete of Tyson Philpott, but this is exactly what we saw from him when he was wearing that tank pre-game week 14 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It goes back to, he's had a little bit of fun on the sidelines this year. That was that day after he had the massive warm-up throws that Jason Moss was so complimentary of, but the sideline antics throughout the season, Dwayne, have been something.
Yeah, whether playing or not, the emotion is evident from Davis Alexander. Into it, trying to keep his teammates up on the sidelines. Chatting a little bit with opponents along the way as well. But the Owls like him much better where he is now.
Alexander looks to throw against a 3-man rush into coverage and drops it into the bucket. Paul Speaker waiting there for it as a flag comes up as well on the opposite side of the field, right in front of Montreal's bench.
Legal contact, Calgary, number 3. Penalties declined. First down, Montreal.
Well, if you're worried about timing being an issue for Davis Alexander after missing some time, that throw suggests you have no concerns dropping that one in perfectly amongst a triangle of Calgary Stampeder defenders.
So he was as involved as ever in the game planning, even though he wasn't playing as this time. He tries to throw it over the top of coverage, incomplete, again looking for Tyson Philpott, but he genuinely believes he wishes he could play 60 games in a row just to stay in the rhythm and not have any injuries whatsoever. I said, do you have any ponderance whether or not you're going to end up being fresh at the end of the year? You go, maybe. I just like playing football, though. Like, you can get the feeling he's that guy, right?
Absolutely. Taking after that guy.
Yeah. A little bit of patience maybe being preached from head coach Jason Moss, even though Moss himself as a player certainly would have pushed to try and get back in the lineup as Alexander stares down 2nd and 10. Blitzes on and it gets home. It's Bailey Devine Scott, the global, who hits Alexander and knocks off the bucket.
You can see Devine Scott looking to time that one up as the Calgary Stampeders, you know, a team that has earned a reputation for being somewhat, I don't want to say vanilla, but sticking to basics on defense. But they absolutely send the house here. Devine Scott gets home, but we'll take another look at this hit. As with Alexander ducking to try and avoid that, it looked like the Calgary linebacker caught him in the helmet.
Oh, Dave Dickinson not happy. Speaking to the officials, and are they looking at this right now?
After automatic review by the replay center, we've roughing the passer, Calgary, number 21. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And you always have to bear in mind, in terms of interpreting these calls, the officials are not trying to judge whether there was intent there or not, only the end result. So the fact that, you know, Bailey Devine Scott, quite frankly, probably started off targeting the waist of the quarterback. The quarterback's ducking to try and get under the hit, protect himself. It ends up being a helmet-on-helmet shot. You know, I mean, it's the right call, whether it's intentional or not. We talk about this all the time with face masks. Doesn't often happen on purpose, but it is what it is.
Well, a man who's taken many a hit that looked just like that is wanting one back, as Dave Dickinson watches on, displeased, obviously. But they're saying it would have been spearing regardless of where he made contact. Leading with the helmet as Austin Mack gets a touch here to the outside as we get another look here at the hit that has extended this drive for the Montreal Alouettes on a gain of 8 now to Mack.
And one more look here You see 21 coming through the left A gap, untouched. And if you watch, Divine Scott he's turning his body in terms of the interpretation of leading with the helmet. I understand that the helmet, it ends up being that high hit. But his body is turning to get his shoulder into the hit. It just, with a lot of moving pieces, didn't end up that way.
Yeah, absolutely. As Alexander with some extra snaps here, floats this one over the top and just sailed away a little bit to Tyler Snead as Adrian Green was on the coverage right there, and looks like it came in a little high out of the right palm of Davis.
And you'll see Snead bottom right corner of your screen, and he's going to just take this one, bend it towards the middle. Adrian Green outside leverage initially. Able to close just enough, particularly with the high throw, to ensure that Snead isn't able to pull that one in.
For 1 so far tonight from 39 yards away. Jose Maltos Diaz as this one comes from 44. And on the money this time, straight through, as the Stampeders making their trip here to Montreal, the first of 3 consecutive road games, trying to get back on track after a loss to the BC Lions at home last week. Isn't that part of the name of the game?
It usually seems to go that way.
The Calgary Stampeders with possession. They'll empty it out 4-by-2. Bernard Jr. over the middle. And it is Jalen Philpott. We've seen Tyson getting a couple of targets, getting involved in the return game here tonight. Twin brother Jalen gets his first touch here with a quick little slant inside.
Yeah, nice juke to the outside, gets underneath, quick hitter there. As Vernon Adams looks to get in rhythm. Jalen Philpott coming into tonight's action. 543 receiving yards on the season.
His 39th catch of the season for the Stampeders attack that runs the football more than they go ahead and throw it. But hey, Jalen can run the football for you as well.
Well, you saw his total yards moments ago in our graphic. Now with his 12th carry of the season.
I love asking Tyson about that a couple weeks ago, and him just doing the, listen, man, he's got the wiggle, I don't. But then you have Tyson doing the return game.
Yeah, they both actually in recent weeks have been involved as returners a little bit for their respective teams.
Inside handoff here. Cedric Mills cuts that. Wesley Sutton makes the tackle on the play, and when in the past has been a dominant Montreal defense, looks like this as they try to get back on track.
And again, they've had Mustafa Johnson back for a little bit. He's getting into the flow of things in the middle of that defensive line. Darnell Sankey leading this team in total defensive plays from his middle linebacker position. On the back end, Lorenzo Burns of that boundary corner has quietly had himself a very solid sophomore season.
We found out is a close friend of Davis Alexander this week. That's part of the reason is the pass ball is incomplete. Off the mark, skipping it in, but we found out he's close with Davis Alexander because that was part of the emphasis on the Kenny Lawler sparring back and forth.
Yes. Yes, sticking up for his guy over there on the sidelines. And you could see just by the flight of that football that it didn't leave the hands of Davis Alexander, or excuse me, Vernon Adams exactly as desired.
3rd and short. Calgary's offense stays on the field, sitting at 8-5 on the season. Traveling on the road, dealing with the noise in Quebec. Little crossing road, and VA on the money as Dom Rhymes extends his catch streak yet again in 2025.
Oh, the veteran Dom Rhymes. Far left side of your screen. He's going to work all the way across the field. On this one, off a little play action. Buying time for that to develop.
How do we find a way to give Jalen Philpott a stat? on that one. Rubbing 2 or 3 guys, drawing everybody's attention.
Yeah, he had a nice block in the run game on the Dedrick Mills run moments ago. Already a catch and a carry himself on this possession.
VA with 4 receivers to his left, plays the isolated receiver. It's Tevin Jones off his hands. Incomplete. And it is Lorenzo Burns right there in coverage as he has been owning that boundary corner.
And you'll see Tevin Jones targeted right along that sideline. Nice job by Burns to get a piece of that right arm as he comes in.
It makes you appreciate situations like that. It's the right route, right read, right throw, good positioning. Sometimes the defense is just too good.
I was going to say, they're getting paid to play too.
Right there, all over it from Burns as now it leaves VA with 2nd and 10. Crossing right once again. Clark Burns takes the grab at the 20 to the 15, the 10, and he's out of bounds inside the 5-yard line as Wesley Sutton right there to escort the Guelph Griffin out of bounds, but a big gainer and another conversion here. Goal to go for the Calgary Stampeders.
And you see how the Stampeders do a nice job using the width of the field to get the receiver open. Barnes is going to come from the bottom of your screen and work all the way across with flow going the other way. We've got 4, if not 5 routes moving left to right. Barnes goes against it. And then plenty of room to roll. Gets that ball in his outside hand as he heads for the sideline, protecting it from that pursuit.
Crashing into those sideline boards.
After the play, we have a 10-yard misconduct penalty against Calgary, number 15. It's a 10-yard penalty, will be first down.
Wow, so no flag for a late hit out of bounds, and Dom Rhymes took exception. And the flag goes against him, so backs them up, it's like to the 14-yard line. Crowd noise files in here late in the first quarter in Montreal. Alouettes 7-7, sitting 2nd in the East Division. Trying to get a stop. It's a corner route going into the end zone in front of Wesley Sutton. And it's Jalen Philpott with the touchdown for Calgary.
Nice execution here from the Calgary Stampeders and a well-thrown ball from Vernon Adams Jr. 2 receiver working into the end zone. Just that break towards the corner. Sutton playing that inside leverage. Unable to get out and make a play on it.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying VA might have been thankful there that they got backed up 10 yards to throw a corner out in Montreal.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we can save the discussion about the field here for the changes to the game talk a little later.
Nate Paredes tacks on the extra point. And Calgary takes their first lead of the ball game here. On the board is VA, little side shuffle, and drops it in to Jalen Philpott. The battle of the brothers. Jalen and Tyson going at it, and give Jalen the early advantage. The Calgary Stampeders go 8 plays, 70 yards for the touchdown. Montreal trying to find their rhythm, specifically with Davis Alexander back in the lineup. Luke Wilson, how do they do it?
Yeah, Marshall, I think right now you kind of need to calm Davis Alexander down a little bit. He's obviously an emotional guy. It's been a bit of a struggle with the 2 hamstrings this year, and you saw him early, and you get it. It's a raw game, a lot of raw emotion, and he came out here getting this game. Everyone's excited. The whole stadium here is fired up, and he starts by making this play, which was an unbelievable off-schedule throw. That was really impressive. Again, the emotion is very high, but when I say calm him down a bit, here you're just kind of off with Snead, throw it over his head. Here, again, just a little bit of a miss, and kind of like that in the body. If I'm Jason Moss right now, I'm going to the run game to try and get that going. Right now, the running back's only 2 yards, 2 attempts, and then also easier throws. Just get him in rhythm so that all of a sudden those big plays will open up. Again, kind of calm things down. You got your guy back. Let's get things going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the question now becomes, Dwayne, the running game, no Sean Thomas Erlington, no Travis Tice. You're working with Stevie Scott, who's coming in as a young guy, 2nd year out of Indiana. You know, Benjamin, former Calgary Stampeder, more of a return guy, and it's sprinkle them in here and there. They are a little bit strapped in that run game, but we'll see if they can do it. Point well made by Luke, trying to find ways to get Davis Alexander under control as the Stampeders coverage unit flies down the field and makes the play as Alexander retakes the field once again here at Percival Molson.
And there you see the numbers thus far for Davis Alexander. 4 of his first 9 in his return. Consider Davis Alexander on the season completing over 72% of his passes coming into this game. So a small sample size, but to Luke's point, a little out of character off the bat here.
Do get him a quick completion to the outside. Love that quick release from Alexander. And a Stevens three-man miss and a fourth and dives out to the 45-yard line. Well, I guess once in a while it does pay to be 5'7".
Well, we've got the dueling 85s here in the first quarter of this ball game. Jalen Philpott making big contributions on that touchdown drive for Calgary, and Tyler Sneed, not surprisingly, very busy in the early going for the Alouettes.
Goes underneath 5'11" Damon Webb as he ducked under the third of 3 tackles on that play. Alexander, after a gain of 17, once again back to the screen game. Jason Moss loves to get the football out quickly when he can. And why wouldn't you when you got receivers making plays after the catch like this? Tyson Philpott makes another.
Yeah, a couple quick hitters right off the bat here. High percentage, short throws for Davis Alexander. Get him into a little bit of a rhythm. Also get some touches for a couple of very productive receivers.
Montreal Alouettes with 2 wins in a row against Saskatchewan and Toronto. That coming after a 5-pack of losses. Saskatchewan, Edmonton, BC, Winnipeg, Hamilton, as they try to end off the first quarter by plunging their way forward for a first down. On 2nd and 1, they'll advance the football once again. And it will be Davis Alexander pushing forward, looking to retake the lead here in his return to the Alouettes lineup in week number 17. The numbers after 1 quarter of play, 7-4 right now is your score, but really it's all about the return of Davis Alexander, Dwayne Ford, and trying to find a way to get him into a rhythm that Luke Wilson was just talking to us about. Seems like Vernon Adams Jr. coming off of the injury, wasn't able to finish the game last week. He's kind of feeling it out, making a throw here or there. Davis he's ramped up right now because it feels like he's missed so many throws over the last 8 games.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain pressure, self-imposed pressure from Davis Alexander to make a difference, right? I think that's the feeling he's got coming back. He's watched his team struggle through quarterback injuries throughout this season. A high-energy guy, and it is just a matter of finding that balance and getting back into the groove that he had through his first 4 starts this season.
I'd love for him to keep the quick throws. I'm just waiting for that bomb that we saw in the warm-ups a couple of weeks ago. You know he's ready for it at any given moment as Stevie Scott III gets a touch in between the tackles here on first down. Montreal's offense winning first down, something they haven't been able to do a ton of outside of really the Saskatchewan game a couple of weeks ago when Tyson Philpott went crazy thanks to McLeod Bethel-Thompson taking over the helm in the backfield.
As you saw Stevie Scott on the carry, and you mentioned him moments ago, Scott actually with the only 100-yard rushing game for the Alouettes so far this season. So whoever's at quarterback, they look for that to be a help.
Alexander with the play fake again, quick release to the outside, completed. Tyler Sneed once again makes the grab as Jacob Roberts, the leading tackler for the Stampeders defense that has been exceptional throughout the season, is there to wrap him up and throw him down.
Here you see Tyler Sneed. They look to clear things out a little bit for him. He's got time with pursuit coming from the box. The linebacker, Jacob Roberts, the one who's got to get out there to make a play on him. As Charleston Rambo takes the defender deep.
Will Rambo be the one to blow the top off the defense at some point? This time they go flip underneath to Rambo, trying to get around the edge. And what pursuit! Kyle Wilson read it from the very start and met Rambo with the point of attack.
One of the veterans they've added along the way, Kyle Wilson, 31, middle of your screen, working to the left. As you said, great recognition, great reaction, and a terrific finish for a team that defensive coordinator Bob Slowick and head coach Dave Dickinson felt hasn't tackled well in the last couple of games. The Stamps giving up a lot of big plays on the ground. Shut it down there.
Hold it to a gain of 1 on the flip underneath. Now Alexander, he throws over the top. Rambo! Dropped it in the bucket for a touchdown!
You called it.
And flags fly after the play as Alexander celebrates. But you can't take that one away from him. That's exactly what we saw in warm-ups a few weeks ago here at home. Just bomb after bomb after bomb.
Charleston Rambo's just going down the rail. It'll be on the left, down the left side of your screen. Protection allows this one to develop. Rambo's in behind the corner, aware of his surroundings, to tuck in that front corner of the end zone.
Davis Alexander.
At the end of the play, we have offsetting 10-yard misconduct penalties against Montreal number 10 and Calgary number 12. Touchdown is good.
So Clarence Hicks getting in the mix as you see Alexander with his 7th touchdown of the season. And Charleston Rambo, it's hard to believe, just his 2nd touchdown of the year. They've been very heavy with Tyler Snead, Tyson Philpott, and Cole Speaker so far this season when it comes to majors.
Yeah, you had a little bit of a feeling that Rambo at some point was due for a little bit of a breakout. See if that's a sign of things to come.
You never know the chemistry with a certain quarterback, right? The number of quarterbacks they've had here in Montreal. And another flag comes out at the end of the kick. We'll clean it up for you on the other side when it comes to field position. But what a strike from Davis Alexander. 10-14, and it's 11-7. Alouettes on top.
Well, Charleston Rambo, the man of the moment. With the Montreal Alouettes touchdown. The key here is the clean release that he gets. Little rip through, getting away from the hands of the corner, Anthony Johnson. Davis Alexander sees that clean release, knows Rambo's on top of his man, and drops it in there.
Davis Alexander having a quick discussion with the officials as he was involved after the touchdown pass as well. As they will kick off further back for Montreal. They'll spot it at the 20-yard line after a misconduct was called on the extra point against Regis Sibasu of the Alouettes. And so good starting field position here for the Calgary Stampeders to be able to answer them right back on the road. Again, their first of 3 straight away from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Eric Brooks can't get out to the 35 mark. Antoine Dequoy downfield all over it after they had to absorb the penalty yardage. But we go back and take a look here at the monster shot from Alexander to Rambo.
Yeah, and you'll see Clarence Hicks, defensive end for Calgary, on the rush here, has a shot at Davis Alexander. He's going to take that inside rush, looping. Gets a piece of the Alouettes quarterback just as he releases that one. High arcing rainbow throw. Davis Alexander. A little something to say after the play. Hicks responds with a shot. That's the misconduct penalties that you heard.
Back and forth here early on as this one almost intercepted Darnell Sankey. Lying out from his middle linebacker spot. Nearly had his hands on the football that time, digging out underneath, but falls incomplete.
And you're going to see Dedrick Mills goes out to the flat on this one. And Vernon Adams is anticipating that that's going to open up the window to Dom Rhymes. But Sankey from his middle linebacker spot ranges out to make a play on that ball.
Leading Montreal coming in with tackles. 73 on the season, 0 interceptions. Could have been his first on the campaign. incomplete. Mustafa Johnson wrapping his way around the offensive line and getting a big chunk of VA who felt that one.
Well, the Alouettes so glad to have Mustafa Johnson back. Lines up on the nose on this one. And, you know, it looks like a little bit of a miscommunication or missed assignment. There is the rookie center, Chris Fortin, blocked to his right, but nobody closed down to take Johnson in that A-gap.
Drops down to the 25-yard line here as Tyson Philpott throws the stiff arm and pushed out of bounds. Well, Tyson's involved in the running game right now. Jalen's already had a trip to the end zone for the Calgary Stampeders as the brothers Philpott putting on a show in Montreal in week number 17 of the CFL season. Tyson, Jalen. Receiver. What do you want to tell you? UFC Dinos? UFC Dinos. What's the difference between these guys? Well, statistically, not a whole lot tonight, but one of them has had a monster season, gone on to be a Grey Cup champion, all the rest. Jalen missed a year due to injury, but they will be comparing each other throughout their careers and still leaning on each other as well for help, getting healthy, coming back from injuries, talking through defenses, all the rest is the inside handoff. Just for gain of a couple here, but the connection undeniable between these two as long as they are in football and beyond.
Yeah, it's been interesting to talk to both of them over the last couple of years as both brothers have battled injuries at times and have sort of leaned on each other for advice in terms of dealing with whatever it has been. But great to see them both healthy and, you know, quite frankly, putting on a show.
I wonder how weird it is after playing together in university at U of C. You know you're on different sidelines, but you're about 40 yards apart for now on the same sideline as this one is complete. And it's Rambo, the touchdown maker, popping up to his feet after another conversion.
And Charleston Rambo, top of your screen. Maybe finding a little bit of momentum in this ball game. Got Adrian Green backed off, so he's just going to sit it down. Cliche as it sounds, taking what the defense gives him on that one to move the sticks.
What Luke Wilson talked about in the first quarter, trying to get Davis Alexander into rhythm. Obviously, with the touchdown pass, he's in that spot, but it's much more than that since as he pumps this time to the flats, looks down the field, and it's Tyson Philpott against Adrian Green. Canadian on Canadian. And just to the outside as Green wins the battle by keeping pace with Tyson.
The throw put in as good a place as it could be, but Adrian Green, who's been terrific at that field corner for Calgary this season. As you said, well positioned. Not a lot of room for Tyson Philpott to make a play on that one. Good on Alexander, keeping it to the outside, away from the defender. But at least isn't picked off.
Alexander on 2nd and 10. Drops underneath, Cole Speaker. Blockers out in front. He's got the first down and more. Down the left sideline to the 30. Cuts it back to the 20-yard line, and he's tackled inside the 15 finally. It's Onyeka that brings him down. Sometimes simple is the best method. Didn't have to go for the touchdown shot to Philpott to get the yardage. They just dump it underneath.
You're going to see Cole Speaker move from the backfield here, but I want you to keep an eye on the offensive line. I think it was Donnie Ventrelli, the right guard, who's going to get downfield on this one as a lead blocker right in front of Speaker. Watch the big fella get on his horse here, getting a piece of anybody he can.
In open space. Now it's Philpott diving for the end zone. Again, one-on-one against Adrian Green. What a great back and forth they're having on this drive. And comes up just shy of the end zone as Tyson reaches for every inch he possibly can. But another completion once again for Alexander.
Yeah, on awareness by Philpott on that one, close to the end zone, but I think he's looking at that first down marker, trying to get whatever he can, hoping to give his team 3 shots from inside the 5, but that one's marked just about a yard short of the first down.
So Philpott to the sideline here as Alexander starting to rack it up after the 46-yard completion. On the screen to Speaker as Shea Patterson comes into the ball game at quarterback. Plunges to the left-hand side. Flags are up. And spiraling his way through traffic into the end zone. And it looks like the Alouettes have extended
Offside,
their lead.
Calgary, defensive line. Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Shea Patterson with the rushing touchdown here.
Patterson brought in as the Alouettes were battling quarterback injuries. Caleb Evans had held that short yardage role, but Patterson, who has filled those shoes in the past, spent some time here in Montreal previously, a number of starts for Saskatchewan last year, but stays on the roster in that role, and you see why. He turns that 2nd and 1 into a Montreal touchdown.
Man, did they ever overload the point of attack that time. Just blew the door off the hole that Shea Patterson plunges his way through as Maltos Diaz watches this kick sail through the uprights. And Shea Patterson in his depth roll with the Alouettes, owning the short yardage package and extending the lead for Montreal. 6 plays, 72 yards in a little over 3.5 minutes as Charleston Rambo, the touchdown maker previously, gets a touch, and then it's underneath the Cole Speaker, and the rest is history, Greg.
Well, one of the interesting things to watch in the way that the game has started to unfold here for Montreal offensively has been the involvement of everybody. Quite frankly, putting the ball in the hands of all of the receivers, finding different ways to utilize those weapons. Get the Calgary Stampeders off balance a little bit.
I wonder if that's game plan or if that's just a natural part of having Davis Alexander back in the lineup here tonight, as well as the special teams coverage right there, and able to bring down the returner for Calgary is Riley McLeod back in the lineup here. Makes the play that time down the field.
And there you see those Montreal Alouette receivers off to a great start here in the first half.
After Luke Wilson said they'd like to get Davis Alexander into a bit more of a rhythm. Last 2 drives, 8 of 9, 139 yards and a touchdown as well. And it all kind of started with a bunch of those quick screens, right? It was one to Philpott, it was one to Snead on the other side. And then the playbook started to open up more and more as they went. So what can Vernon Adams Jr. do in response after a rough week against the BC Lions last week? 2 interceptions in the first quarter. They give him a quick throw underneath. Jalen Philpott breaks the tackle of Wesley Sutton. And he's wrapped up and thrown down after a gain of 7.
The Stampeders perhaps taking a page from the Montreal book. Quick hitter trying to get a little convoy set up there in front of Jalen Philpott, but get the ball out of Vernon Adams' hands, let his playmakers make some plays, see if he can find his rhythm here offensively for the red and white.
Jalen Philpott certainly seems to be ready for the task here this evening. Friday Night Football is a couple of bodies out in front, and Dedrick Mills trying to get away. And Quincy Vaughn, by the way, listed as a fullback for this game here tonight after playing emergency quarterback, 3rd-string savior last week when both Vernon Adams Jr. and P.J. Walker went down, and Vaughn trying to get out in front and get a block that time. He's still on the roster, but he's listed at a different position here tonight.
Well, we have frequently joked with Quincy over the course of this season that the more you can do. And he is definitely a guy whose versatility has served him well in his young Canadian Football League career.
Taken in the 2nd round primarily for that versatility. Doesn't have a true home, but can use him in so many different ways. BA takes inside, then the end round, and then gets thrown down. Isaac Adeyemi Berglund makes the season against Toronto last week, and he's tracking down Matthew Betts.
Yeah, and keep an eye on that Emmy Berglund here, the former Calgary Stampeder first-round pick. Going to take the long way around, but it takes him right to where VA is sliding. Stamps trying to use some motion and fakes to slow up the rush, but Alouettes had the right stunt at the right time up front.
No doubt. Long developing play, and as you say, Dwayne had to go all the way 2 or 3 bodies in order to get there. It matched up and now forced into a screen just to try and salvage some yardage on the Stampeders. And they'll get out to the 46, 47-yard line here, and Darnell Sankey making the play with 4.5 minutes remaining in this first half. Montreal leading by 11 and about to get the football back as well.
Not a big exchange here for the Calgary Stampeders. Love an opportunity to limit the field position for Montreal and see if they can get a stop. Get themselves some more points before this first half kicks down.
Give Tyson Philpott a break on this kick as Tyler Sneed goes back, maybe trying to keep Philpott fresh for the end of this first half. See if they can get some more explosive plays to number 6 in red, white, and blue, but Sneed will return it to the 28-yard line. Oh, it's all in the family. Of course it is between these two. Dwayne, you know the background better than anybody when it comes to this stuff, but what a great image to be able to have Corey Philpott and his 2 sons together, and what a career he had.
Yeah, needless to say, the boys, they have an advantage because there's 2 of them, but they still got a ways to go to catch up to Dad in that total yardage and touchdown race. You see Tyson and Jalen's combined numbers and the individual numbers. Jalen enjoying a terrific 2025. Tyson had the monster game a couple of weeks ago, going for over 200.
And there is the brothers together. You always know they're going to be compared, whether it's to each other or otherwise. Is this one incomplete, looking for Tyler Sneed, but there's a proud papa watching on as he knows exactly what his boys have accomplished so far in their careers. And I wonder, Thanksgiving's coming up, all the rest, they get a chance to go home, what those conversations are like, because it's, hey, I watched your game, and then I watched your game, and then I saw you guys play each other, and then I saw, what did you think of that Winnipeg TV? And they must just talk football relentlessly.
No doubt, trading notes. Corey won a CJFL championship a few years ago. Moving to the coaching ranks. Prepared his sons well for life in the CFL.
Alexander on 2nd and 10. Finds Cole Speaker on the outside, looking for the first down marker. Punches his way forward, got close, but will it be enough for them to risk it here as we get to the 3-minute warning? It is 3rd down in the 7-7 Montreal Alouettes, striving for more on a perfect night for Canadian Football League action here in late September.
Quick change for 2026?
Oh, come on, Kay. Nobody consulted me about change. Oh, my God.
We're going to go from 3 to 4 analysts.
No, we don't need
no
change.
Don't poke the bear, Kate.
I mean, I'm all in for 4 analysts. Davis Alexander talking things over with Jason Moss on the sideline as Shea Patterson comes in on 3rd down, deep in their own end. And they're going to trust their short yardage package that scored the major earlier on in this second quarter. It is another first down for the Alouettes. And Alexander as well during that 3-minute warning was up the sideline, down the sideline, grabbed a tablet, talked to this coach, run over there, grab the phone, go back to Jason Moss, talk it over again. All over the place, highly involved right now.
And you saw there how the numbers have improved for Davis Alexander. The last few drives, 9 of his last 11 attempts.
Shea Patterson trying to be a producer here on the broadcast as well. Got tangled in the wires there. Way back to the sideline as thankfully Alexander has been just going smoothly onto the field. And into the middle, Stevie Scott wrapped up and thrown down, and Jacob Roberts once again kind of has that Micah Awe feel right now in the middle of this Calgary defense, the same way Awe used to in Calgary alongside Cameron Judge, but now of course in BC.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of what the Calgary Stampeders are looking for in terms of limiting those big plays in the run. Being sure in the tackles, keeping the linebacker clean. Roberts doing a nice job stepping up to fill the gap. Limiting Stevie Scott's space there to make the cut.
Scott seems like a small guy, but 6'1", 218. He brings some thunder. Is also getting rocked as Davis Alexander. The ball's loose, and they will whistle it dead. They'll say incomplete, as Adam Bighill ended up with the football in his hands. The former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, of course. And Dave Dickinson talking this one over quickly with the sideline, but let's get a look at it.
Yeah, and you'll see Clarence Hicks moving around a little bit. Calgary's top edge pass rusher, particularly with Flo Rimolade out of the lineup. Inside gets the matchup against a guard, which can be tough in terms of athleticism. Hicks will tell you himself quickness is his greatest asset. Using it there, little shake and shimmy to get to the quarterback.
Alexander had some of his offensive line on the back. No harm, no foul. 18-7, the Alouettes lead. Calgary trying to find some offense here. We're going cold last week. Monster punt this time. To the wide side, Joseph Zima digs it inside the 15-yard line, rolls around, and then it's picked up as Eric Brooks pushed out of bounds, but Zima with a beautiful kick towards that wide side. Vernon Adams Jr. will retake the field with 1:51 remaining. And is there somebody you'd like to see get involved a little bit more here, maybe Dwayne, at the end of the first half, if not for anything else than just getting into a better rhythm for Calgary coming out to start the second?
Well, I can't help wondering if the Stamps, knowing a little bit of their offensive DNA, if there's not an over-the-top shot coming here before the half as they look to try and get a chunk, possibly to Barnes and Tevin Jones on the outside.
Barnes has already got his catch streak extended. We've seen Jalen Philpott. Big play of VA will give a pump and look over the top on Hugh, and just off the mark across the 55, looking for Tevin Jones. And Dave Dickinson wanted that when he was staring it down from right where the football landed.
Yeah, it looked like the pocket may be in a little bit of trouble there initially, but Adams doing a nice job to step up, buying a little time. But the throw sails on him as he tries to time that up with Tevin Jones off the scramble. Remember Jones, briefly a Montreal Alouette, but signed here as a free agent after starting his CFL career in Saskatchewan.
Rolling coverages, and in the middle of it all, Tom Rhymes is free, running through the middle. And out to the 49-yard line as Rhymes connects once again with VA for a gain of 25.
And Calgary, a team a little different than the trend in the Canadian Football League of shorter, quicker, higher percentage passes. They'll push the ball a little more.
Once again here, that one about 7 or 8 yards in the air, and Jalen Philpott squeezes an extra yard or two out of it. But yeah, Vernon Adams Jr. certainly not afraid to throw it down the field and see what happens.
Yeah, working from the slot. Nice work on the telestrator. Quick hitter there.
And up inside, Dietrich Mills grinding his way across to the 50-yard line. And it will be a first down, so they pound the rock here on 2nd and 2, refresh the downs. And a minute 16 remaining, they'll whistle it in. And the teams are set and ready to rock.
And Adams trying to make the most of the time here.
It's a 5-man rush. VA outside to Tevin Jones. Takes the grab. Dives forward. It's Tyrese Beverett finally there to clear things up. Gain of 13, another first down.
We talk about Dedrick Mills a lot when he has the ball in his hands, but keep an eye on the Calgary running back here and what he does without the football on the blitz pickup. Jeffrey Contenarcu on the blitz. Mills catches him up high, takes him off his feet.
We'll have to see Contenarcu that stood up like that. There's now a handoff to the outside, and it's Mills puts a stiff arm on Marc-Antoine Duclaw, and the physicality in two different facets on full display for Mills. This time he goes 16 yards on the ground.
Yeah, Mills showing a little bit of his speed here as well, getting around the corner. Just moving the Alouette DB out of his way.
Down to the Montreal 21-yard line. We roll inside 1 minute remaining in the first half. Calgary trailing, looking for something. VA pumps, gets outside, now he uses legs, gets 2 blocks, reaches the edge, no flags down! Vernon Adams Jr. dances his way through the Montreal secondary.
Much credit to the rest of this Calgary Stampeder offense as Adams got on the move, recognizing the situation, getting out in front to make some blocks for their quarterback. VA was not going to allow himself to be forced out of bounds here. Freezes both Sankey and Murray to the inside. Looks like he may head for that sideline. Saw a little flyby block there. I think that was Jalen Philpott again at the end, taking someone past the oncoming quarterback.
Ironically, in a week in which we're talking about game alterations so much across the CFL landscape, Tevin Jones not getting a block going back in his own direction. Pretty amazing. Let's bring in Luke Wilson. Luke, what do you got for us?
I'll tell you right now, if you're the Alouettes, that play right there Vernon Adams just made is demoralizing because you've done a decent job all night kind of keeping this offense under wraps. And honestly, you do a great job here on this play. Everything's dialed up and Vernon just comes in and says, hey, I'm going to get this done myself. And it's just wildly impressive. He's looking, he doesn't have his option. I mean, one guy missed, two guy missed, bad angle. You pick up a block here, you take a bad angle there, you get another block down the field. This is one of those plays where when you watch it on film tomorrow on the Alouettes room, you're thinking to yourself, okay, we had this guy dead to rights, and he just out-athleted us. Get some help from his receivers and running backs. But again, you're right back in it, and you got to tip your cap because when things aren't working, guys like Vernon Adams Jr. can really, flip the switch, and you're right back in this thing.
Luke, this is so much of why the Calgary Stampeders went out and got a guy like Vernon Adams in the offseason. If you don't have that mobility at the quarterback position, a guy who can create when things break down, that play's dead. This guy turns it into a touchdown.
Absolutely, Dwayne. You said it. It's dead. And, it's one of those things where the field goal there, you just don't feel good about it. And instead, you're hoping that your defense shows up right now and you get out of this half only down 4 and you got a ton of momentum going in the third quarter.
Absolutely. It also reminds me last night, I know, Luke, you were watching the Cardinals and the Seahawks, and the fact that Kyler Murray, a special athlete at quarterback, is now we see diving to the 40-yard line, Tyson Philpott. But yeah, when you got that game breaker, it might only be once, maybe twice a game, but it can certainly change the entire feeling because the next time the VA goes and looks like he's scrambling, he might just load it up and throw it 35, 40 yards down the field because he's got the ability to drop it down like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping defenses off balance. And in that instance, keeping hope alive. He always gives you a chance.
You wonder if VA wasn't good to go in this game, what the quarterback room would look like here tonight. It's Josh Love, second stringer. Logan Bonner brought back, third string. PJ Walker on the 6-game injured list. Quincy Vaughn was the third string over to fullback. It would have been barren, but a big play in Calgary. Happy to have him in the lineup as Davis Alexander rolls to his left. Nice throw once again across the 55, and Tyler Sneed paying dividends endlessly here in Montreal.
See Davis Alexander again moving to his left, putting that one on the money. Not as easy as he makes it look.
5 catches, 68 yards at this point for Tyler Sneed so far in the ballgame. 31 seconds left in the half, and Stevie Scott makes the crowd absorb the hit from the outside and runs through contact once again as the Montreal Montreal sideline appreciates that physicality coming right towards them.
Yeah, I was going to say, Luke talked a minute ago about the kind of play that demoralizes a team. This is the kind of play that lifts a team. Stevie Scott absolutely refusing to go down on this play.
Some of the shenanigans earlier on in this ball game, it truly is punch counter punch at this point in the ball game. Shea Patterson, the short yardage package comes in long so far on this season for Maltos Diaz, 58 yards away, and from 50 plus he's 6 of 7. We know he's got the big leg as they continue to try and turn some yardage out here in short. Makes the play, tackled by Damon Webb. Dylan Wynn is in there as well, the defensive lineman working in short yardage.
Well, that Alouettes short yardage unit. There's Shea Patterson's direction. Looking pretty good. Dylan Wynn always happy just to have an opportunity to go and hit somebody.
As now over the middle, Alexander into a tight window, and Tyler Sneed makes another catch, wrapped up in between coverage. Kyle Wilson right there on him, but Alexander in rhythm, on target here with 11 seconds remaining. And what's the call now?
I mean, this is a terrific response drive for the Alouettes, coming off a late score for Calgary. Time's ticking here.
Whistle it in. Alexander goes left, comes back right. Throws it up for grabs. Rambo one-on-one inside. And I don't think Johnston Jr. got the foot down inbounds. And with 1 second remaining, they barely got away with this one.
Yeah, Alexander taking that end zone shot. Good position by Anthony Johnson. Well, that would have been very close to being an interception, you know, in 2027.
Yeah.
You take out the 55s. You got room that you don't have to cut off the corner of the end zone. Just saying.
Maltos Diaz getting an attempt here from 36 yards away. He's 30 of 32 on the year. Coming in inside 40, low snap, and Zima got it down, but the kick is no good. Eric Brooks gets a chance to touch it on the missed field goal return. As he breaks across the 5, gets it out of the end zone.
A great heads-up play by Brooks to avoid giving up that extra point on the last play of the half, where field position doesn't matter. Good effort from the Calgary returner.
As the big play from Davis Alexander in his return to the lineup was being able to find Charleston Rambo. As you said, Dwayne, with the rainbow shot over Anthony Johnson, taps the toes at the front of the end zone, but the arm strength from Davis Alexander never in question.
An absolute strike there, and a big play for Rambo. Solid first half for the Alouette receiver. Second-year man looking to get things going here.
The Alouettes finding their groove late in that first half. Up and down the lineup they went. And Davis Alexander feeling things out in his return from injury. He stands alongside our Kenzie Lalonde.
Well, Davis, you came into this game with so much energy. First game since July 17th. At what point do you think you settled into this one?
Yeah, I missed a couple throws early. Happens. I think maybe third drive I felt pretty good out there.
Let's focus in on that Charleston Rambo bomb. You threw 42 yards. What is it about your game that makes plays like that look so natural?
Yeah, I mean, he's long overdue. You know, we know the type of talent he has. Same thing as last year. Me and him have always had a connection. It was just a matter of time.
Best of luck.
Merci.
Kate, the panel, over to you.
Kenzie, that panel would be Enoch Mwamba, Davis Sanchez, Milt Stiegel, and welcome back, Davis Alexander. Look, we were all excited to see him. I love what you said in the pregame, too, Milt, when you were saying, you know, just don't do too much. And I think that half was pretty much as good as it gets as we take a look at his stats. He's 16-25. He's got 240 yards. As mentioned, that beautiful throw to Rambo, and then 1 TD as well. And look, when you're coming back from a hamstring injury, and we saw this a couple of times, too, maybe you're not going to get the explosive runs off the top. He said it took 3 different drives to get a little more comfortable, but, I mean, that's pretty good at this point, is it not, Davis?
He looked excellent. And you did see on that first run, there was a little bit of hesitation to open up, it looked like. Now, if you're a wide receiver or a defensive back, you have no choice but to open up. I actually like the fact that he didn't open up here. I mean, when you're Davis Alexander, the franchise quarterback, and your health is dependent, or the team's success is dependent on your health, do whatever makes you comfortable in the pocket. Anyway, there was no hesitation with this hose right here, this throw down the line. He looked great in the first half. Right there, that was cover 2. The cornerback has got to push him inside, allow that safety to get there. He let him release outside. It's too far for that safety to get there. But I thought Davis looked great. The arm looked great. And again, you don't have to open it up. Whatever your hamstring, the comfort level you have in a hamstring, because Montreal, we saw it. Montreal's playoff and Grey Cup run all depends on his health.
Yeah, you got to love this if you're a Montreal Alouette fan. And you know what? If you're a Montreal Alouette fan, you got away with one in this first half. And look, we don't really talk about this a lot, too, but there was an egregious call in the first half of this football game. And you know it's bad when Dave Dickinson was just going off on the sideline. Milt doesn't swear, for anyone at home who doesn't know that. And Milt's like, you know what? I accept this one. Because if you watch it back, and we've watched it back a number of times now, a flag shouldn't have been thrown. It shouldn't have been roughing the passer. No. It was a bad one.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how they, detect things in the review center with the officials, what they see, but there has to be some protection for the defense also. I know we're all about protecting the quarterback. I understand that. But this play right here, I don't understand how you protect the quarterback if the quarterback is ducking like that. Divine Scott, the gentleman who goes in and makes the tackle, he's going in at a lower angle where he's trying to avoid hitting the quarterback in the helmet. But Davis Alexander, he turtles or ducks, so Divine Scott is already made where he was going to go, and he hit him in the helmet. So I don't know how we get away from that, because we're told anytime you hit a quarterback in the helmet, it's going to be a flag. But that right there has to be something done about that.
Yeah, you can't shrink the zone, that was the strike zone, and then call a penalty. It's just tough. It's tough on a defensive player. Like, what more could he have done? What more could Divine Scott have done in order to make this sack? Because he's making a play for his team, and that was a big play for his team as well. And the worst part about this, too, 3 points got on the board. And if you look at the score right now, it's a 4-point game. So this might actually impact this game as well.
Add this, too. That came in from up top, too.
Exactly.
So if they're coming from a command center, that should be something that's egregious and that they have to fix as a mistake. The only way that could happen is if it was the opposite way. I'm not sure how in the command center. They do a good job explaining to us on Monday, but I don't know how you go up there and you overturn that one.
The refs on the field didn't call it.
They didn't. So how do you overturn it?
Yeah, no, the refs on the field got it right. That's for sure. And you know what, too? I mean, again, we don't talk about this a lot. I just don't want it to affect the game. The outcome of the game should never affect. If that 3 points does make a difference, then we have a problem. But hopefully they'll take a look at that one, and we will clean it up in the future. Coming up after the break, we'll maybe preview the later game with the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts.
Whatever it takes.
A monumental day in the CFL. New field configurations, a modified Rouge.
This was for Canadians who adore our game and how we're going to make our game even more entertaining.
Are you concerned you will lose fans off of today's announcement?
I don't. I really don't.
New rule changes are garbage. It's garbage.
Well, just in case you didn't hear, in 2026, a single point will no longer be awarded for a punt or a kick out of the end zone. The play clock will move from 20 to 35 seconds, and opposing teams will no longer be on the same sideline at any field. In 2027, end zones will be shortened from 20 to 15 yards, and the field will be shortened from 110 to 100 yards, and goalposts will move from the front to the back of the end zone. As we heard from Nathan Rourke, he isn't overly thrilled with the changes, but hopefully, like a lot of people, there will be some calm periods, and everyone will accept what is to come. And as we are waiting for this game ahead of us, Nathan Rourke was absolutely sensational in Calgary. I mean, 331 yards, 2 TD passes, the running as well on the ground. He had 3 TD rushes as well. Milt, I mean, you see what the BC Lions are doing right now, and this is kind of the point in the season we look for the red-hot teams.
Right.
This is one of them, and the Argos have a tough task tonight.
Very tough task. One thing the Argos have going for them, they've beaten the BC Lions 5 games in a row. The last time they lost was 2022, but they're going to have to be on their A game because of this man right here, Nathan Rourke, and he has to be the favorite for the top Canadian, the MOP. He's doing everything right now. This team is totally feeding off of him, so Nick Arbuckle being back in the lineup is definitely going to help out these Toronto Argonauts, and he's basically going to have a game like he did the last time they were able to beat him. So this is going to be a high-scoring game, in my opinion.
The relationship he has with Hatcher, what he's doing with his legs, I don't know how Toronto's going to slow him down. I think for Toronto to compete tonight, Nick Arbuckle, the offense, is going to score 40 points. I don't know what kind of health Nick is in. I think they realize he has to play. Let's hope he's healthy, and let's hope they can put up some points. Keep it close.
Yeah, one of the defenses got to step up. One of the defenses got to bring enough stops to the opposing quarterbacks. And Nathan Rourke is one of those guys at this point right now. He's playing his best football, and if he's able to play the way that he's been playing the last stretch here, it's going to be tough for the Toronto Argonauts defense. I mean, he's basically willed his team to victory over the last few weeks, and the defense has got to step up in Toronto.
There you go with that door.
It's a defense.
Yeah, no one's talking. We didn't want to talk about defense. We were talking about offense.
Oh my goodness!
You know? Some people also want to see defense.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. No, everyone wants defense.
No, they don't. They want to see defense.
Look at what are we showing highlights of right now, Enoch? What is this?
Bad defense. That's bad defense.
Well played.
Football, and a pair of teams hungry for a victory, fighting for their playoff positioning here in the Canadian Football League. It's an 18-14 Montreal Alouettes lead over the Calgary Stampeders, and Jalen Philpott, a big part of the first half, is standing alongside our Kenzie LeBlanc.
Jalen, in the Battle of the Brothers tonight, you're up by 1, getting your team's first touchdown. What did you like about your group's first half?
We're coming out and we're swinging first. You know, that's what our mentality was this week is, we know it's a great team. The atmosphere here is electric, so we just got to make sure that we swing first, and if they hit harder, we got to hit harder. So.
Any adjustments you want to see here going into the third quarter?
No, we're just play our game and be penalty free.
Best of luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And their game has been good enough this year for an 8-5 record thus far. As a short kickoff here, drops in. It won't go to Eric Brooks as it is returned across the 40. And now to the outside, a couple of stiff arms, and a little turn of the head from Dwayne Ford, seeing the big man. Is that Daniel Joseph going for a little jaunt?
Yeah, Daniel Joseph was bound and determined to return that one, backing up to go get the ball. And Vernon Adams, some ups and downs in the first half of that football game, but finishing strong. Both Don Rhymes, Jalen Philpott, highly involved through the opening 30 minutes. And Vernon going electric on us for the touchdown run late in that second quarter.
EA looking to throw to open things up. Double man pressure is on. It's Sankey and Adeyemi Berglund. And the front of the Alouettes begins the second half in the best way possible for coordinator Noel Thorpe.
Not giving Adams a chance this time to create when things start to break down. Offensive line moving to its right. That leaves one of the league's most dangerous pass rushers. A free pursuit lane off that backside.
Now, Isaac Adeyemi Berglund takes over. A one-sack advantage on Matthew Betts, a specialist in the art of quarterback takedowns himself. Vernon Adams Jr. rolls to his right, no receivers available. And Dietrich Mills does the best he can to try and protect his quarterback. Taking an unnecessary hit along that sideline, but short of the first down marker are the Stampeders.
Yeah, Adams getting as much as he could there, but clearly not enough for the first down from their own side of midfield to bring out the punt team.
VA play. So dangerous when he escapes the pocket. It was interesting last week going into the BC game that Dave Dickinson said, I actually want to lean on his athleticism more. I want him to get outside of the pocket. I want him to freewheel. Because so much of his career, including his time in Montreal, VA's been told, stop running around so much. Stop doing all those crazy things. But if it's what makes it special, you got to do it. That time it doesn't work out as Tyler Sneed drops down here after a short return. Davis Alexander comes out after a flip of field position, a 48-yard punt, and Alexander trying to find his rhythm back in the lineup again. And interesting to hear David Sanchez as well say it's probably a good thing he didn't open up the legs the first time that he went for a jaunt.
Yeah, easing into it a little bit, testing things out. Unfortunately, Davis Alexander has plenty of very capable weapons around him. He doesn't need to do a lot of the running. Distributing that ball to his receiving core and letting those guys go to work.
A lot of quarterbacks talk about being a point guard, just distributing to everybody that's eligible as a receiver. Some guys just do it naturally. It feels like Alexander has been that for the Alouettes here tonight. Stevie Scott gets the handoff inside. Justin Lawrence trying to get a block down the field. The former Calgary Stampeder himself in the middle of that offensive line here this evening in front of Alexander.
Justin Lawrence, one of a number of former University of Alberta Golden Bear offensive linemen. The Canadian Football League, a guy who's won three Grey Cups with 3 different teams.
Amazing. Bit of a comfort level as well, working with Alexander to start the season together. Is now to the outside. Nice anticipation throw. Davis Alexander looking through the windows and seeing a clear picture to Tyler Sneed.
I want to pick any one receiver with whom Davis Alexander seems to be on the same page. That would certainly be Tyler Sneed. Recently signed a contract extension to stay with these Montreal Alouettes.
What did he do to earn that?
What is everything?
Yeah. Catch every ball that's thrown at you, essentially. To the outside. As the pass is caught by Austin Mack. As Tyler Sneed, you say, signed through 27 and has been an integral part of building this offense out. And obviously there's a deep, rich history of Eastern Carolina University receivers getting high production and high target rates and all the rest. But it just seems like he fits the CFL game from start to finish ever since he's been in the lineup.
Yeah, he really does. And it's not just the smallish size that maybe makes him not the NFL prototype, but just a versatile receiver, runs all the routes well, sure-handed.
Busting through the line of scrimmage, and Stevie Scott finally met by Damon Webb, the free safety, second leading tackler on the team because of plays like that. This one goes for a gain of 10 and a first down.
Keep an eye on the work here of left tackle Nick Callender in opening things up. Just walls his man, creates a wide lane there on the edge. Pushing Charles Wiley out wide to give a clear read to the running back, Scott.
We've got a sense as well. At various points tonight, we've highlighted Lawrence, Ventrelli getting out front, the right guard. Now Callender on the left. The snap comes down to Davis Alexander's ankles, looking over the top, fades away. Did he get enough arm on it to Philpott? Caught it at the 35. And Davis Alexander makes something out of absolutely nothing.
Well, we've talked about this aspect of Vernon Adams Jr.'s game. Absolutely a part of what makes Davis Alexander as well. Looks like a broken play. Things are breaking down. You see that non-verbal communication with his receiver Philpott off the scramble. And fading away to buy himself a little bit of time and drifting the ball in to Philpott.
Gain of 28 yards on the play. Philpott getting up around 50 yards on the night as Alexander throws it inside, looking off coverage, working the eyes, moving Derek Moncrief and finding Tyson once again.
Yeah, again, that combination of routes. You're going to see Sneed come across the formation, releasing to the left. He pulls the defender out wide, opens up the window inside for Philpott coming the other way.
He is seeing it extremely clearly right now. What can you do if you're the Calgary Stampeders? Try and disrupt his eyes, his feet, his rhythm. Snap comes up, handed up. No, he'll keep it himself. Takes a shot over the top, through the uprights. Incomplete, flag comes down as Philpott was interfered with, and was that Onyeka in coverage, getting the start this week at that boundary halfback spot.
We'll take a closer look
Pass
here.
interference, Calgary, number 27. Ball will be placed at the 1 yard line. Automatic first down.
Philpott, the lone receiver. Out wide. Onyeka initially you saw playing that with outside leverage, the break to the inside. You see him get a hand on the shoulder, limiting the ability of the receiver to jump here. Just a split second early for Godfrey Onyeka, who's done a nice job filling in a couple of spots in that secondary.
The 9th overall draft pick receiver draws a penalty on the 10th overall DB as flags come up and into the end zone. Shea Patterson for the second time here tonight after the pass interference flag against Onyeka.
Offside, Calgary defensive line. Penalties declined. Touchdown.
Penalty sets the Alouettes up in close. And Shea Patterson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That offensive line, the entire short yardage unit, operating at a high level of efficiency here for the Owls tonight.
You get the sense, don't you, Dwayne, that Montreal has gotten so good in the closing stages of this season at just timing up where they're going and when the snap is coming up. They're just blowing a certain spot of the defensive line right out of their spot.
Yeah, exactly. Picking their spot. That point of attack.
8 plays, 93 yards in 4.5 minutes, and Patterson gets his second of the ball game here as Jason Moss in quick conversation with Byron Archambault, the special teams coordinator, amongst other things.
Illegal formation, Calgary. 7 players lined up on one side of the line of scrimmage. Penalties declined. Converse good.
25-14. The score now after knocking through the extra point thanks to Shea Patterson. A little hop over the top into the end zone for the Alouettes. Montreal Alouettes being fueled by Davis Alexander. A little bit of improvisation after some steady completions here to open things up, and a little touch of the ground game as well. Stevie Scott making an appearance here to open up the third quarter.
Yeah, a little burst there, and then, as you said, the ad-lib by Alexander finding Philpott for a big play, and then a pass interference call in the end zone. Sets the Alouettes up from the 1 yard line. Shea Patterson punches it in.
Coach Jason Moss, and right back into the play band goes Davis Alexander, prepping for their next drive as Calgary gets possession back with Eric Brooks. As he turns one direction, comes back the other, and then is met quickly by Alexander Gagne, one of the standout special teamers for the Montreal Alouettes. There's plenty of them. It's part of the reason that they're having success here tonight at home against the Stampeders.
Get her done.
That'd be so awesome. What a story they've been. You and I were actually out in Calgary last week as we were watching the semi wind down, and had a very nice conversation with a gentleman that was a rugby expert who was thrilled about the way the women were playing. As this one picked off, Tyrese Beveret's got it in his hands and returns to the 30-yard line. Vernon Adams Jr. struggling last week against the Lions at home. Here on the road, throws it right between the 2 and the 6 on the Montreal uniform.
See exactly where Tyrese Beverett came from here, lined up right on the hash mark. Left, right of your screen, left of Vernon Adams. Perhaps obscured a little bit by the offensive line for Adams as he's looking at a receiver coming across the field on the next level. Crafty Beverett just steps underneath.
Perhaps easy to get lost in the wash behind all 6'5", 310 of Zach Williams. So Vernon Adams Jr. will get clear look at it. And with a 25-14 lead and momentum at their back, it's a flea flicker. A little bit of showmanship here from Jason Moss on the offense. Over the top, looking for Tyson Philpott, who tries to draw the flag. There's no flag down, and immediately Tyson asking.
Lobbying to his bench to challenge. No doubt they'll take another look here. You see Philpott. There was a little grab on the back of the jersey there. Tyler Richardson, you'll see it right here. Richardson pulling himself even with the receiver.
And Jason Moss does throw the challenge flag. Communication from upstairs. I wondered whether or not he was just going to hold on to it and see if he needed the challenge for later on in the game, but obviously got clear communication.
Montreal is challenging the previous play for defensive pass interference. Play will be reviewed.
And I would think the only debate on this one has to do with the catchability of the football. How far is it from Philpott? But again, you see the clear tug of the jersey.
Which one?
Well, I think it would be characterized as one extended tug, as he'd never let go.
I was amazed that a receiver can feel that from behind running at full speed. Just the slightest little, wait, why did I slow down?
Just enough to pull you just a little bit off balance.
Experts in their own body mechanics, and they feel the slightest little bit from in behind, but that was more than just a little bit, and Tyson's letting them know.
You know that if it was on me, bro had to hold me to get me, you know?
Jason Moss career challenge is 42%. As this will be his 99th career challenge as a CFL head coach.
Got a feeling that Miles Brown was just realizing there. You look like the guy on my team.
Richardson thought he got away with it for a second, but you got to wonder if there's anything that stops this one from being defensive pass interference.
After review by the replay center, pass interference, Calgary, number 35. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line, first down.
Justin McInnes, our referee this evening at Percival Molson Stadium, makes the call with the replay official. Looking at things back at the CFL Replay Center, getting it right on review.
You see the frustration there for Richardson, who makes his return to the Calgary lineup tonight after a stint on the injured list. Opened the season as one of the more experienced Calgary defenders.
Shea Patterson back in with the short yardage team. Going for the trifecta of short yardage touchdowns. Pushes on the left-hand side, never in doubt.
Pretty good feeling for Shea Patterson. Guy who was sitting at home until the Montreal Alouettes. Dave McCall had been in camp with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year.
Maltos Diaz gets set through the fireworks smoke, which has been flowing here in Montreal for the home side. Great hold, though, by Zima. And Maltos Diaz makes good. Tyrese Beverett, he's made so many plays for this Montreal defense. He picks off the former Alouette, Vernon Adams Jr., and it turns into 6 with Shea Patterson punching it in for the 3rd time here tonight. Tyrese Tyrese Beverett hits the turf once again. Picked up as a guy that had a lot of upside, obviously, after playing special teams, but you look at his career and the way he's been able to just touch on every aspect of this Montreal Alouettes club since he's been here. Really second to none. I mean, Darnell Sankey's the pure tackle guy. You got some on the back end that are, all about the interceptions. He is one of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, and still a terrific special teams player, as you said. That's how he started his career as a Hamilton Tiger Cat. And last season emerging as the East Division's most outstanding defensive player.
One of the best defensive players in the entire league, and he still ends up right at the end of that tackles. They kind of let him be the wandering shark who gets to hunt whenever he sees an opening here on special teams. Just meander your way down, and then if you get a look, go make a play. Why not?
Guy with a nose for the football.
Right back to his day job, if you want to call it that now, on defense. Moonlighting on special teams, I guess.
Never know where you're going to find him in that defensive alignment.
Vernon Adams Jr. after the interception, they begin by handing it off, and Diedrich Mills driving blue uniforms backwards towards the 50-yard line, as it looks like it'll go for a gain of 7.
No surprise to find Beverett. See him communicating with his teammates, but once again getting in on the play himself as he fights off the block. Deontay Demery, the tackle.
Not a lot of complicated communication on that one with the mouth guard and just pointing at Diedrich. Looked like, yeah, he's getting the ball. Let's go. They'll find a way to stop him. They can't here as he crosses midfield, down inside the 40-yard line. And the running game for Calgary comes alive as Diedrich Mills crosses the 1,000-yard mark on a gain of 22.
Keep an eye on the work of the receivers. Jalen Philpott and Dom Rhymes getting out in front as the lead blockers playing the role of pulling guards here. Kind of a neat concept when you have lead blockers who can actually run faster than the guy with the rock.
Physical out in front of it as well. Great job by Rhymes and Philpott. As the first back to go over 1,000. Mills will be the decoy here as they go end around. Tevin Jones takes the play as Tyrese Beverett tries to rip the football out in camp, but there is Diedrich Mills. The impressive season he has put together here in 2025.
Yeah, certainly a guy who sees his role grow with this Calgary Stampeder team, and I think just gets stronger and stronger as his career progresses. James Butler, of course, sidelined last week for BC. Mills taking over the lead.
Hands it off. Jalen Philpott wrapped up and tackled by Darnell Sankey. And it'll be a first down here once again for the Calgary Stampeders. Trailing 32-14. Obviously have to find some offense, but this is a steady pace they're working at and getting to the line quickly as well.
And mixing things up a little bit in terms of the Alouettes' defensive focus. You saw them side to side, a couple misdirection plays, getting the receivers involved in different ways in the run game here.
Receivers to the right. Vernon Adams Jr. He looks that direction. Clark Barnes in the end zone and just couldn't hang out on his flags. Come up in the offensive backfield. Barnes had an opportunity.
Legal block, hands to the face. Calgary, number 54. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Joshua Coker, the guilty party here, and he was frustrated about it the second the flag came up.
Keep an eye on the right tackle here for Calgary. Coker. Protection. Just got a little out of sorts as you saw him collide with the back. As he's trying to take his pass set to block at Amy Berglund.
such a rhythm and rep-to-rep spot, right? To get thrown off by your own guys surprisingly from behind kind of puts you in a deficit. He tried to climb his way back into the battle, but takes the flag, and it creates 1st and 20. Four-man rush is picked up. VA uses the legs, crosses the 30 and slides down, and as he stands up, gets run into. But they'll say no harm, no foul there from Adams Jr., despite a conversation and a little extra at the end of the play.
Yeah, I think the Calgary Stampeders are debating the no harm part of that. But yeah, VA popped up faster certainly than Darnell Sankey anticipated. You'll see at the end of this play.
Well, the half-speed follow-through puts you in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. Like Sankey is, kind of looking to, anticipating that he's going to step by, and all of a sudden, Adams stood up in his path.
For argument's sake, on behalf of Darnell Sankey, if he wanted to make that bad, he would have. Yes. He didn't want to. As the crowd noise comes in after the rush of 7 by VA. 2nd and 13. This is high, incomplete. Look in the direction of Clark Barnes once again, but sails that one over the top.
This is one of those drives. You remember Luke talked near the end of the first half when the Stampeders scored about how settling for a field goal in that instance, where VA scrambled for a touchdown, settling for the field goal would have had a bad feeling. You get a little bit of that on this drive, I think, for Calgary.
The ageless one, Rene Paredes, 33 yards out. Tacks on the triple. And the Calgary Stampeders crawling their way back in. See if they can do it. We return to the end of the third. There's Jason Moss as he has got his guy back, and all of a sudden a little bit of a different flavor in this offense. Isn't that right, Luke Wilson?
Yeah, Marshall, I'll say this. He might not show it, but the most excited person in this building right now has got to be Jason Moss. I go back to the longer touchdown drive this quarter, and this is how offenses should look. You see here, little wrap route, push the ball down the field in a tight window. Now we do the quick game. Again, it's a balanced attack here. Okay, the run game, it hasn't been electric tonight, but they still got it. Obviously a big explosive run there. And then, of course, you've got your guy to make the off-schedule things. This is the magic that Davis Alexander brings. Unbelievable job there, picking that up and being able to find somebody. Also, a little play like this. Again, it's another wrinkle. RPO, he read it perfectly. Shea Patterson tonight has become the bell cow with all the touchdowns. But I'll tell you, Jason Moss is going to turn this film on and realize that he's got everything at his fingertips once again.
What stood out for you most about Davis Alexander's performance so far tonight?
For me, it's just been how everyone's rallying around him, Dwayne. So beyond all the great things he's done on the field, I like to watch the interactions with quarterbacks, and you can just tell there's a level of excitement from the O-line, receivers, and running backs. He's a leader of his team, and they've got their guy back.
We're going to look at Davis Alexander and some of the excitement for him being back in the lineup here. As Luke told us in the first quarter, little bit of extra juice coming out, but since he's gotten it under wraps, I mean, if he's going to bring this every week, he's going to be exhausted after every single game.
Yeah, I mean, Davis Alexander's got to be who he is, right? And that's a guy who's lets his emotions show and lets his team, as Luke alluded to, feed off of that.
That was interesting, too, being here pregame and him coming out of the tunnel, the reception he got when he came out of the tunnel tonight. It was like a 10-year vet that they had fallen in love with. I mean, this fan base has really grown to appreciate him because of some of those off-schedule plays and the explosives, like the Rambo touchdown earlier tonight as Austin Mack makes the grab.
Not hard for the Montreal faithful to recognize the impact that Davis Alexander has on this offense.
Alexander with the long play call. In the huddle. Yeah, plenty of 10 jerseys hanging in the stands here on a Friday night. Alexander with an empty backfield. 3-by-3, throws the quick screen and just a wall of offensive linemen. As Cole Speaker tries to tuck in behind and does so successfully. Another version of the screen game. The variety on display here tonight for Jason Moss and his offense. It'll be 3rd down and short. And Shea Patterson's had so much success. That they will send out. Looks like the punting unit is Alexander keeping spirits high on the sideline, just like he told us this week that he was after he was actually out doing some social things with teammates and got the message on the MRI results on his hamstring. He said, I might have shaved off a couple of weeks to keep their spirits high. Being a good teammate, so he got a text and said, hey, it might be, actually, you know what? It sounds like it's going to be 4, guys. So.
I think Montreal elected to punt here with the Calgary offense sputtering.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, we're going to make them go 110 yards. They're going to try and close the gap.
Zima rolls this one down inside the 15-yard line. And the Montreal Alouettes in control at home as Davis Alexander attempts to keep his perfect mark rolling in 2025.
Get up off of that thing! By the replay center. Get up off of that thing! Get up off of that thing! Get up off of that.
The numbers after 3 quarters of play, 32-17. The Alouettes are up 25 first downs. You see that just 13 in the Calgary Stampeders. Vernon Adams Jr. struggling right now in Truth and Reconciliation across the Canadian Football League here in week number 17. And during the break, you and I are both fighting over this thing. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. Some of the artwork that's been on display, and of course, the orange uniforms that have been worn in warm-ups going into this one tonight on the fields, and everything that we've been able to see across the league for Truth and Reconciliation and being able to honor those that have come before, and of course make a promise to those in the future as well about the value of Indigenous communities and everything that the Canadian Football League would love to stand for. Of course, the helmets stand out as well. It's going to be very hard for me now to just want to play with the football for the remainder of the 4th quarter while we're standing up here, Dwayne. But
spoken like the former quarterback that you are.
Vernon Adams Jr. trying to get things on track as this hits the turf, and Beverett nearly had his second.
Well, Tyrese Beverett demonstrating his range. And you see him lined up at his so-called weak side linebacker, playing on the strong side that time. Another piece of the football.
One of the true positionless players, it feels like. Is now the snap high, rolls into the Calgary end zone, and it gets worse for the Stampeders as VA somehow dances away from 3, looks down the field, and makes a completion. Are you kidding me? Dominique Rhymes is out at the 35-yard line, and Vernon Adams Jr. just took an absolute mess, polished it, and it turned into a diamond.
Well, when life gives you lemons, Vernon Adams, I mean, it's absolute magic.
Unbelievable. Tevin Jones now hanging out alongside the sideline, chased down from behind by Darnell Sankey. But another big gain across the 50-yard line of the Alouettes. I have no idea how Vernon Adams Jr. even thought that Dominique Rhymes was in behind coverage along the sideline here.
And after dodging a couple defenders, though, you see him get the eyes up, looking to make a play.
The scramble rules are one thing, Dwayne, but when there's a defensive back in the exact spot you're attempting to throw a comeback to, unbelievable. Remember that one if Calgary storms and comes back from what could have been an absolute disaster.
And Not just avoiding giving up a safety, but avoiding a potential Montreal defensive touchdown. Adams turns it into a Stampeder first down.
Quick release to the outside, had numbers, and Dom Rhymes makes the grab. Let's go down to Luke Wilson. Luke?
I'll tell you what was really impressive about that scramble was the effort of your right tackle here, Joshua Coker. Again, you're not expecting there's going to be a high snap, so he does a little quick set. He realizes something's going on. He doesn't quit. Look at this. Look at this. And what springs it? Wow, got him. Boys, then Vernon Adams does the rest. Again, you got to give some love to the big boys. Coker there in the effort sprung that play, so I got to tip my cap to him.
Make an Oakman miss as well. I mean, that could have gone backwards in about 6 different ways, and somehow the only way it could have been successful worked out for Calgary.
And it turned into a pretty good drive for the Stampeders, certainly within field goal range. They're not looking for threes at this stage of the game, as you just saw, big Joshua Coker. Athletic 300-pounder and is traded on that block.
Yeah, he moves tremendously well for his size. You need that when you got a quarterback like VA that has broken plays once in a while. He's going to hand off to Mills, trying to turn the corner. And it's chased down by Wes Sutton, and a gain of 11. And it will be a first down here once again for the Calgary Stampeders.
The Calgary Stampeders taking a little bit of momentum from VA's great escape. Couple nice pass plays, and of course not forgetting the 1,000-yard rusher Dedrick Mills in the ground game.
This feels more like the offense that has been missing the last couple of weeks. Maybe even going back to the Labor Day rematch against the Edmonton Elks. Punishing ground attack with Dedrick Mills once again downhill. Vernon Adams Jr. creating off-kilter, off-script plays, getting Dominique Rhymes a little bit more involved than you expect.
Well, then, though we're in the fourth quarter of a 2-score football game, by CFL standards, lots of time left for the Stampeders that they don't have to abandon Dedrick Mills and what is the bread and butter of their offense.
Mills again crossing 1,000 yards rushing, first to do it in the CFL this season earlier on tonight. As VA fakes to him, pumps, thought about going over the top, has tons of time, great work by the offensive line, and then sails it over the head of Tevin Jones, incomplete.
Desperately hoping for something to pop open on that one. The offensive line did a nice job sustaining their blocks, providing them time. But the Montreal defense had things blanketed.
And again, you say plenty of time here, Dwayne. Interesting moment with Dave Dickinson on the sideline as the entire sideline contemplated it for a second, and he kind of emotionally gestured at VA. No, stay out there. Yeah. Let's figure it out on the fly. Jalen Philpott bellies out. Clunky start to the play and might be procedure. And will that change Dickinson's decision making?
We'll take another look at this one. I think the right tackle, Joshua Coker, flinched a little early here.
Procedure, Calgary, number 54. It's a 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
And Dave Dickinson, as you said, Marsh, had been looking to try and take advantage of that momentum. Didn't want to leave this drive with this still being a 2-score game and settling for the field goal. But the penalty makes it for unfavorable down and distance situation. And they send on to Rene Paredes.
And again, might seem like a whole lot of nothing at this point in the ball game, but depending on how Well, this one turns out to flip what could have been a disaster play at the start of that drive to put 3 points on the board. A pretty play from VA, a memorable one on a beautiful night here in Montreal. Oh, you thought we were done? CFL Friday Night Football action returns tonight. The Argonauts take on the Lions. Coverage gets underway at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on TSN. Nathan Rourke looks to continue his tremendous season as the BC Lions and their offense leading the CFL in net offense at 429 yards per game, the highest of any club since Calgary in 2010. And per play, they're at an all-time CFL high as well. As last week, BC ran just 43 plays, but had 527 yards of net offense. That's a lot of yards, right? 12.5 per play against Calgary's defense. Big-time showing, and now Tyler Sneed makes the grab, rolls out 2 tackles. Moncrief finally brings him down across the 55, but this offense continues to roll with Davis Alexander at the helm. We take a look at the playoff picture here in the CFL in 2025.
Yes, still a potential crossover situation. And you look at the standings, something of a must-win situation.
Have we reached the must-win?
I think we're in the.
Is it threat level
I think
midnight?
we are in must-win territory. You know what else we're in? We make some changes to the game to make things make some more sense. Let's change the playoff format.
Here. Inside, Stevie Scott driving forward. The running game showing its teeth a little bit for the Alouettes as well, mixed in with Davis Alexander to the outside.
And this is a place where the Calgary Stampeders have struggled the last couple of outings, allowing close to 200 yards rushing to the BC Lions last week. Prior to that, the Labor Day rematch against Edmonton. Justin Rankin went for over 200 in that ball game. They need to be able to shut this down.
Shea Patterson. He's had quite the night, but Kyle Wilson's had enough of it. The number of times they've gone left side and absolutely dominated. Looks like Calgary's been talking it over on the bench.
See Wilson, left side of your screen. Just exploding through the line.
The offense stays out. And Wilson will try to answer the bell once again. Patterson remains in. They go left side once again. Three of 23 on the year now. And you see why with the strength they have behind Pierre-Olivier Lestage and the left side of that offensive line.
Perfect record intact. Jacob Roberts came over the top, anticipating the sneak, but Patterson sliding left to pick up the first down.
Gives Davis Alexander here midway through the fourth quarter with a 12-point lead. A chance to keep working. Loads up that back foot, rips it to the sideline. As Tyson Philpott makes the grab. Worth noting as well when it comes to rushing, Stevie Scott has 8 attempts on the night. Shea Patterson has just as many. That short yardage package.
Rather graceful catch there for Tyson Philpott. The classic long throw, short gain.
And the officials talking it over here on the exact spot. Flip the hash, set it. And referee Justin McInnes whistles it in. Scott stands alongside Alexander, who takes an extra look at the play band on his left wrist. And Calgary, every single member of the defense standing up on second and long. The front four gets after it. Spy was on it. Alexander lives to play another down and flips it away.
Exercise in patience for Davis Alexander there. Just protecting the field position, not forcing something, just good recognition of the game situation for a young quarterback.
Well, 12 points, the difference as it stands now. And this kick coming from 45 yards away. Standing back is Eric Brooks, should the kick be missed. Falls over Percival Molson. Plenty of leg. And on the money from Maltos Diaz. As Montreal trying to hold on to their lead here and get to a record above 500 in the East. Special teams coordinator and assistant head coach Byron Archambault watching the field goal go through, and he's had quite the journey to get to where he is now with the Alouettes, but it turns out that he's had more of a journey recently using his legs. Kenzie Lalonde has more.
Yeah, like the Owls are all about challenges. So when Byron Archambault started running in training camp, he thought, can I run a marathon? And he decided to be about it, which is a motto for the Alouettes. So he signed up for the Montreal Marathon. Took part last week. His goal was to do it under 4 hours and 15 minutes. He accomplished that, completing the marathon in 3 hours and 47 minutes. He said the hardest was between 32 and 35 kilometers. That's where you're battling that inner dialogue. And so for him to be able to accomplish that feat, silence that inner dialogue, was a proud moment for him. He also credits his wife Miriam that helped him meal prep because he did a 75-day clean eating schedule. And he said no cheat meal was had.
Yeah, Dwayne disagreed.
Yeah, you completely lost me at no cheat meal, man.
What an accomplishment, though. Congratulations to Byron, who is shredded. And if you ever come to an Alouettes game, he is just ripping around the field as well, getting his guys fired up and doing a tremendous job with the organization as well. It's incomplete on first down. Vernon Adams Jr. on 2nd and 10 checks it down to Dietrich Mills, and then he's battling up against Tyrese Beverett. There's a pile of Alouettes end up making contact that time with Mills. And with 5 minutes and change remaining, Dave Dickinson goes back to the play call sheet here on 3rd down.
Got to get something going here. 15-point ball game. 5.5 to go. Near midfield, you're going to take this chance.
The former Alouette VA, eyes wide open on 3rd down. Looks to the left, escapes pressure, makes a hit miss, loses his helmet, and they'll whistle this play dead.
And of course, play stopped for, I think, fairly obvious safety reasons.
Wall Uguak was the one that made the contact.
I can see Dave Dickinson, given the penalty that was discussed at halftime. VA's helmet gets taken off as he's trying to duck under a tackle. Referring to the...
Regardless of how the play ends up being officiated here, what a scheme from Noel Thorpe. Yeah. Right? Rushing, forcing him out, having Uguak the one that loops around, and it's like you never know what you're going to get from that front with all these varied personnel packages. So they're taking a look at it, but
Davis got, they gave it to him.
It looks like no further action required. As Uguak made the contact, they blow it dead for player safety. Welcome back to Montreal. Taking a look at this, the last play before we left you for a quick break as Vernon Adams Jr. forced out of the pocket by Sean Oakman, and contact up high, but different than the potential spear that was discussed at the halftime show coming in on Davis Alexander. So no roughing the passer here as Vernon Adams Jr. just had his bucket pop off of his head. 35-20 is where we stand. That was third down. So when they whistled it dead, it's a turnover on downs as the ground game returns for the Alouettes. Onyeka comes downhill to make the tackle on Stevie Scott.
And again, this is where for the Calgary Stampeders, to keep their hopes alive in this ball game, they need to be able to shut down the run. Don't let
Timeout, Calgary.
Don't let Montreal grind it out on them and run down the time here.
And again, for Scott, not a huge night at this point. 9 carries, 37 yards, but feels as though he has been piecing together a valuable effort to at least intersperse things. As you see, James Hudson Jr. standing over on the Montreal sideline. Sean Thomas Erlington, noticed him earlier as well on the bench area. They're deep. They do have a rotation, and Scott filling the role, making plays right now. Up 15 with 4.5 remaining. Alexander quick to the outside. Tyson Philpott across the 20. And on second down, it's a passing conversion. Once again to Philpott.
Yeah, Austin Mack working just ahead of him, creating a little bit of space. The clearing route, Philpott then following in behind on that slant path. Moving the sticks.
It's a gain of 14. Davis Alexander willing to be patient at the line of scrimmage. That's the play clock roll inside 5. Now brings it to the outside. Tyson one-on-one has to make a man miss to get to the end zone, and stacked up, pushed away. David Dallaire trying to get there, give a little bit of extra energy and effort. Philpott just a yard shy of another touchdown this season.
And keeping things high percentage, getting a little bit of separation, working out to the flat there. Jalen's got one. Looking for one for Tyson. His dad, Corey, is showing his divided allegiances with the shirt tonight.
Philpott with 5 touchdowns receiving coming in tonight for Montreal. That leads the team. Jalen watches on and waits for his opportunity.
Crackback clock, Montreal, number 85. It's 15-yard penalty from the original line of scrimmage. We'll repeat first down.
Tyler Sneed flagged here. Oh, a long throw to the left side for Davis Alexander. And Tyler Sneed must have been all the way over on the right-hand side and looped around and found somebody. And Jason Moss will call time.
Timeout, Montreal.
We keep an eye on Tyler Sneed. He's going to motion outside in towards the formation here. And deliver that outside in block. Catches Godfrey Onyeka under the chin with that one. That coming outside of the box, into the box with the block. Earns him the flag.
Outside in, but first and 25 after they were sitting at the 1. And now minus 32.
A little more debate to be had, apparently.
Field position after the penalty is applied. They confirm Play is whistled in. Alexander with the blitz coming. Gets this one away quickly. Austin Mack
I got nothing.
on the receiving end. And will they say catch? Yep, they'll spot it.
Yeah, you can see Mack trying to keep his balance, leaning a little bit here along the sideline as the ball comes in. I think he touched the sideline before the ball got there. I think his right foot was already touching the white stripe. You?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Just making sure it wasn't just me.
3:29 remaining here in the fourth. Second down and 20 looms after, for now, a 5-yard catch. And they'll play on. Play clock rolling here. Inside 5 once again for Alexander as he sets the receivers in motion with the waggle. Inside handoff. And Stevie Scott somehow is going to earn nearly all of it back.
A beautiful execution on the draw play there, and you get a little glimpse of the explosiveness of Stevie Scott.
Filling the role. Back and forth battle between these two. The Alouettes in control. Davis Alexander's return to the lineup. Kay Patterson with a trifecta of touchdowns here tonight as Montreal leads at the 3-minute warning.
Second half of our Friday night doubleheader is coming up from Vancouver. The BC Lions, fresh off putting up a 50 spot on the Stamps, welcome the Argonauts to town, who hope to continue their 5-game winning streak against the Lions. That is next.
Looking forward to that one as we get set for the back end of the Friday night football doubleheader.
Williams looking for a little revenge, I suspect, in that one as well after
monster output from Toronto. Their last matchup at BMO Field.
You can't run.
Marcos Diaz hammers it through. It's time now for Wilson's game ball as we head down to Luke and find out who's caught his eye on this fine Friday.
Yeah, there's no surprise here. I'm obviously going with Davis Alexander. I mean, this guy started 4 of 9. Since then has been 22 of 27. He's got a career high 350 passing yards tonight. The energy, the leadership. I'll tell you what, being here in this stadium and seeing this team with him leading it, you certainly got to put them more in this contender conversation. He's been able to do everything. You know, the legs look good. He made a lot of off-schedule plays. He also was able to sit back there and go through his progressions. You just feel like he's in complete control. The poise, the confidence, the swagger, the attitude. Pretty easy game ball for me today. And again, I think this Alouettes team, with him leading the helm, has got to be put right in that conversation when it comes to Grey Cup contenders.
Former Seattle tight end picks a quarterback from Washington State. Eh?
No question. No question. You know, you got to show some love to Washington State.
And Davis, perhaps referencing some of Nathan Rourke's comments from earlier this week when he was asked about it, and said, oh, it must be the Canadian in him that, you know, made him get so angry about all day. Just held up a towel that said, I love Canada and the CFL, just in case anybody was wondering. Ready to maintain his perfect streak is the return here out across the 40-yard line. And this is interesting, though, because I was thinking about it earlier this week, the remaining games, what they have left, right? So you're thinking about the Alouettes. Home to Calgary here, notch that one in. Ottawa at Ottawa, bottom feeder right now in the East Division, and at Winnipeg to end the season. By that point, Where's Hamilton standing, right? What's happening with the crossover, all the rest? Montreal, if they really start to heat up, if you get healthy at the right time, what ended the Alouettes season last year? It was Toronto in the East Final with a quarterback that came in getting hot late in the end of the season. Could Montreal potentially do that? You have to think there's a chance with Davis Alexander the way he's looked here tonight. For the outside, Clark Barnes complete, but of the teams that could get hot down the stretch, Montreal's certainly on the short list.
Yeah, no question about that. When we said it off the top of this game is, I mean, you are seeing here in week 17, probably the healthiest Montreal Alouettes team that we have seen literally all season. Big stretch. When Davis Alexander was out, I mean, they went through periods where they were missing upwards of 6 to 8 starters at various other positions, and we're talking about key guys.
Rhymes absorbing a big hit along the sideline there, but I mean, if you get any quality quarterback play with this Montreal defense when they're playing at the height of their powers, there's no doubt they can make a run. Sounds like me just trying to get out of bed in the morning.
Ron Rhymes unfazed by the shot.
Inside run turned around here. Dylan Wynn. And on Dedrick Mills, who once again adds to his season tally.
And Darnell Sankey, a guy who started his Canadian Football League career as a Calgary Stampeder.
And anywhere and everywhere he's gone, tackles have followed.
Before the snap, timeout, Montreal.
So the Owls up 18 will talk this one over. And Sankey, I always wonder, what do you call Tyrese Beverette when you're trying to assign roles to this Noel-Thorpe defense, right? It's like, is Sankey the heart, Beverette's the mind, is Dequoy the spirit? Like, what? You got so many different interchangeable parts. What's Jeffrey Canton-Arcou?
Yeah, I mean,
thrown in there all over the place.
I think of it a little bit more like Batman's utility belt. You know what I mean? A whole lot of different weapons, and you just decide how you're going to combine them and use them.
I don't want to go you mean debris, but it's kind of 7 different types of smoke that get thrown at all times. But Noel-Thorpe, you never know which cloud is going to be the one that leads to a sack or an interception. As BA tries to decipher that here, gets it away as he's hit over the top, incomplete. Looking for Dom Rhymes, and a flag comes in late at the end of the play. And VA approving of the call down the field.
Pass interference, Montreal, number 37. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, and an automatic first down.
Oh, Wes Sutton flagged for that one. He's the halfback in coverage on the slot, Rhymes.
Football at the 24-yard line. And Vernon on 1st and 10. With 5 receivers available. Quick throw. Jalen Philpott inside the 20. 1 yards after the catch available there. Once again, Beverette.
Obviously, the Alouettes in this situation, in a perfect world, looking to avoid a score, but more than anything, they're going to make the Stampeders take some time off the clock if they're going to get anything.
Quick slam here, Tevin Jones. And a big collision at the end of that one. His offensive line running out to try and help out Jones on the quick catch. As you see, Fabian Ento, the length at that field corner spot. And we stop at Jansen. It is down. We need some assistance. It looks like a cramp here from Mustafa Johnson as they'll try to loosen up that right leg as Davis Alexander watches on after having a tremendous evening, getting Luke Wilson's game ball.
You know, Marsh, this delay will give us a moment to acknowledge that tomorrow your alma mater, the McMaster Marauders, travel to London to play my alma mater, the Western Mustangs.
You know what I'd like to talk about, Dwayne, is the big
homecoming game.
It's the big victory over the Guelph Griffins.
Well, talk to me about that. I'll give you this one.
Took the red eye home from Calgary last week as we were doing Calgary, BC. Land, take a 2-hour nap, and straight down to Ron Joyce Stadium to watch the Marauders triumph at home. We'll see how tomorrow goes.
So you were amongst the Marauders faithful.
There were plenty of us. Tremendous.
Nice.
So hoping for
good to see.
Some love tomorrow. But yeah, the U Sports boys, the Philpots here, UFC. Plenty of great university games around the country, and you got to think every single young receiver across the country is watching these two brothers right now and loving their work in the Canadian Football League. Vernon Adams Jr. after the Mustafa Johnson delay will get wrapped up and brought down. And Tyrese Beverett there once again.
Yeah, crazy.
Timeout, Calgary.
Beverett second on this team in defensive plays behind only Darnell Sankey, but the fact that for this guy, it's a quiet year by Tyrese Beverett standards, as he has set the bar pretty high during his time as an Alouette.
The tackle that Beverett made earlier as well, by the way, on that Jalen Philpott catch, kind of got up, hobbled, and all the rest. And you wonder, and then 30 seconds later, he's flying into the backfield like the previous play never happened. We've seen that so many times from him. But second down and 11. And you can see Montreal just straight line defense sitting at their own 5-yard line here. Vernon goes to the outside. Pass is complete. Sutton pushes Jalen Philpott out of bounds once again. And VA comes up a little bit worse for wear, but waving at the sideline. Keep in the ball game here after the strike.
Yeah, some debate what was going on. VA stays on the field, but Quincy Vaughn is in as the short yardage quarterback.
And Vaughn rolls his way to the right. Did they rip the football out? Duquois on top of it. And after all of that, a fitting way to wrap this one up if it's a clean strip.
Well, an odd-looking play from the start. As Vaughn goes to his right, and it almost seems like there's just very little resistance here as he goes in, and obviously the question is, hey, all he has to do is break the plane. Did he manage to do that before the ball came out?
Straight down the line, you're right. There was nobody there. Surging. Vaughn spinning the other direction and didn't get there.
Yeah, the ball is out before he crosses that line.
And you can see from Quincy Vaughn's mannerisms as well. He knew it, reaching for the football even before he got to the spot. Dave Dickinson still coaching hard. Right to the very end as Davis Alexander remains in the ball game.
Wes Sutton with the big defensive play, popping that ball free. Veteran halfback. Tough break for Quincy Vaughn, who's done a good job this season running that Calgary short yardage unit.
Well, especially after Shea Patterson has showcased just what a short yardage team can do for you in those crucial moments, right? Punching it in. Both these teams expect headed towards the playoffs, and Calgary certainly has to shore up that element of their offense. Automatic should be automatic. Alexander hands it off. Once again, Stevie Scott boosted up by Hutchings. Micah Teitz coming in to help finish the play off as well, alongside Godfrey Onyeka.
The Alouettes nursing that 18-point lead, preserved by the West Sutton strip at the goal line. Happy just to play it safe here.
First 2 and out of the ball game for the Montreal Alouettes. 38 points on the board. That tells you how effective Davis Alexander's been. Even if they haven't been points on the board, they have not been quick trips on and back to the sideline.
We've seen Tyson Philpott busy in the return game for Montreal tonight. Jalen joins Eric Brooks back to receive this Jonathan Seaman punt for Calgary. Choose to drop it into Brooks.
Across the 40-yard line and wrapped up as the East standings, giving Montreal the record here. They'll move to 8-7 on the season. Still in contention against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They got the victory here back in week number 14. And Moss taking the headset off, ready to wind this one down as the Calgary Stampeders now. You've gone Labor Day rematch, doesn't go the way that you want. Have a game against the BC Lions where Nathan Rourke just goes wild, averaging 12.5 yards per offensive play. Come on the road, their first of 3 in a row on the road. And this one doesn't go their way either, so trying to find a way to close out the season. There's a couple of final thoughts, Dwayne, with the backups in and flags on the field.
Yeah, people getting their touches in, no doubt, for the Calgary Stampeders. In big picture, you anticipate that there are going to be some ups and downs over the course of an 18-game season. You certainly don't want your downs to come heading into the playoffs. Right. And this would appear to be a playoff-bound team. The Stampeders have had overall a terrific season, but they want to make sure they get some momentum back.
I guess the question
a few games
now for the Calgary Stampeders is this a dip that you can clean up and get the momentum going? Or is this going to be one of those end of seasons where you look back in February and go, what happened over those last 6 weeks? How did we end up there?
Yeah, and I mean, part of the issue for
rough
Calgary.
Play, disqualification, Calgary number 15. 25-yard penalty at the end of the play. It'll be second down.
Well, Dom Rhymes will head down the tunnel. 20 seconds ahead of his teammates. Davis Alexander.
Disqualification. Calgary.
Getting plenty of love.
Enjoy the moment, kid. CFL record all by himself, winning his first 9 starts in the Canadian Football League.
And he gets to enjoy it, and the crowd gets to lay it on him. But you and I both know, Dwayne, the support system, whether it's a backup veteran like McLeod Bethel-Thompson, Anthony Calgio being in the building, Jason Moss being your head coach, as a young quarterback, there's not a lot of better situations you could possibly be in for Davis Alexander, and it's shown through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he had Cody Fajardo here as his veteran through his first stretch here. Trevor Harris before that.
Starting to sound like the Bell Center in here. What's going on?
Cheering at the Bell Center last night.
Massive collision. Darnell Sankey's not done playing, even though there's 20 seconds left.
And a little pushing and shoving, and another flag thrown at the end of that one. Jeffrey Cantarcu.
At the end of the play, 15-yard misconduct penalty against Montreal. 15-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
Yeah, I see Jason Moss yelling for Jeff and saying, get him out of here, I guess. So that'll be the end of Cantarcu's snaps for week 17. significantly happier when the clock strikes zeros and he can go talk to his team in the locker room. There's Ludwig Choquette in as the backup running back carrying the rock.
One of the young Stampeders having a little bit of a homecoming here. Quebec native, Choquette. Played his college football at Western Illinois and finished up at Long Island.
And will forever be in my mind as smelling salts guy at the bench press at the combine.
Yes. Yes.
Woke me up. I was 50 feet away from him. Look at the final snap of the ball game. As once again a handoff and a frustrated Calgary Stampeders club will lose this one, and the Alouettes celebrate at home. A meaningful victory for them. Piecing it together, Davis Alexander gets the Gatorade bath in his return, and mutual respect between those two. VA and DA, you knew it was going to be a show, but Davis gets to play king here in Montreal once again. The perfect record continues as the Alouettes in the Battle of the Brothers Philpott. It's Tyson's club that comes out on top. For Dwayne Ford, Kenzie Lalonde, Luke Wilson, I'm Marshall Ferguson. Thanks so much for watching Friday Night Football from here in Montreal.
Marshall, game one of the doubleheader officially wrapped up. Game two from Vancouver set to kick off in just a few minutes' time. But my goodness, Davis Alexander. I loved how the team embraced him. I loved how the fans were embracing him. He had a career high in passing yards in 350. He is still undefeated as a starter. If you're looking for a good comeback story, and a good story, too, for the Montreal Alouettes going into the postseason and heading towards, obviously, hopefully the Grey Cup for them, I mean, they looked fantastic with Alexander tonight.
Night and day when he is on the field and when he's not. And the beautiful thing is, even when he wasn't on the field, he was always involved. And you can see that it showed even when he got on the field. I mean, this whole team is absolutely different. The receivers are playing different. The running backs are playing different. And I'll go as far as saying even the defense is playing different. These guys were happy that they were able to see some points on the board and able to get some rest as well.
Yeah, that was an impressive performance, and that's you know, the fact that this guy commands and you see the respect and everything. They love with this guy. This is a whole nother squad and a whole other feeling in Montreal right now.
I'll keep it short and sweet. This guy's the truth.
Yeah,
he's the truth,
the real deal.
And I know he's only started 9 games, but he is the truth. I think that's safe to say.
I agree. You know what, too? I like what you said, too. You know, don't try to do too much, but that hamstring did look okay.
Yep.
So fingers crossed, because we love having these starting QBs back.